Good morning, and welcome here to another sunny day in Sao Paulo, another sunny morning. I'm Fleet. This beautiful man next to me, Samuel Stokes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to have you. Unfortunately,
we've never hung out before.
Never.
Ever. No
time.
Conversation, nothing.
No, there's something that you guys don't know about talent. We actually stay in individual rooms at different times.
We're like Pokemon.
Pokemon.
They just capture us again, put us in the capsule. It's done.
Unfortunately, they're still trying to get Carter back in the capsule. They're like, this has been a mistake. Hi, welcome to the B stream. This is the last day of groups. And we don't know who is going home yet of any of the 4 groups.
Amazing. That's exactly what you wanted, SI. You want everybody to be right on the precipice of being able to make it a little bit farther into the stage. Nobody, dedicated to those flights just yet. Here's day 5, guys. Here's the group schedule for you on Stream A and Stream B. Obviously, if you're with us, you're watching Stream B right now, and you're waiting for FaZe Clan versus Wolves Esports. But if you got 2 monitors, or if you're pretty smart with technology, you can probably figure out how to get 2 of these things up. You can watch A stream with FearX and Geekay.
I mean, you got 2 eyes. You got 2 eyes, don't you? One eye on one stream, one eye on the other stream. What do you think we do when we have to watch every single game? Following throughout this now, there, as I said, that game on the A stream, that'll decide who goes home between FearX and GK. On our stream, it decides who gets first place in this group. It's really still all to play for. Then the B stream, plus first D+. Who goes home?
Yes.
C stream, Group C on the A stream, Liquid vs MAE. Who goes home? Lost versus Fury. Who goes home? Team Falcons versus Scars. One of them, they'll go home. Who knows?
We're booking a lot of flights today.
We're booking a lot of flights today. I do not envy the person that has to book all these flights.
Oh, yeah. The logistics coordinator is most definitely not having fun with this one, I can tell you that. Well, here's Group E for you folks. This is obviously what Emmy and I will be rocking with here today. You got Space Station sitting at the very tippity top, and Wolves with the opportunity to steal away first.
That is the sort of... It's the meat of this game right now. So FaZe cannot get themselves to first place. What they could do, they 2-0, they could find themselves level with Wolves in the situation where, they're both still seated in the same place. SSG want Wolves to lose. If Wolves have any win, whether it's 2 maps or 3, they will jump into first place. They get the bye towards the upper bracket quarterfinals, which is a difference of point, of a difference of standing, and of a difference of money. Well, that's pretty hefty.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's something that's a little worrisome, and for Space Station, they don't really have any, say in the matter. They just have to simply watch, wait, and hope that they are the ones that get the bye for this tournament, and that means so much, doesn't it, Emmy?
It's an unbelievable amount, because, let's be honest, no one expected SSG to be at the top of this group. No one expected Wolves to be doing as well as they are. FaZe have a lot to sort of set here, and they can make best friends with the NA. But let's talk about the French boys for now, who have, as I said, they've surprised, I think, even themselves with the performance they've been able to do here. They got themselves a couple of wins. They've been able to get the head-to-head with SSG as well in a victory the other day. It's a surprise for the French roster.
Yeah, most definitely. It's been pretty interesting to watch them kind of traverse this tournament thus far as well, because you look at the stat lines and you got Bibu, Shinka, and P4 all under a 1.0 rating, but then Deadshot and Mowgli, a 1.23 and a 1.29. Plus 28 and plus 26 for these 2 respectively. That's over 50 kills. That's absolutely insane.
It is just playing out of their skin. Deadshot had a huge series. I think it was in the first day against SSG. I'm not going to say he was entirely the defining factor, but the clutches he pulled out, one of them, I think, sort of changed the pace of the whole game itself in a series that SSG won the first map. Versus Bliss, Mowgli, in 2 maps, was about 7 short of the 3-map kill record.
Man.
If it had gone to a 3rd map, he would have set the record. And it's just this absolute pop-off. And it's always the argument of how do you play against a team on the day? This team has had disappointments in Atlanta and then at Copenhagen. They haven't been able to find their pace. They found a real good bit of form here, and their opponents, FaZe Clan.
Most definitely. FaZe Clan, of all people, a roster that coming into this tournament, a lot of people had really high hopes for.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, talking to separate teams and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the teams got here early for SI, and it felt like every single person that would lend us an ear and have a conversation with us was like, whoa, you have to watch out for FaZe. These guys are looking dastardly. This is looking like a tournament they could really try and make a run for, but this group stage has been really difficult for them.
It's sort of the other side of the sword here, because a lot of the conversations around who is overperforming and who is underperforming are sort of citing around the meta. It's a sticky meta. It's a heavy meta. Attackers are struggling without grenades. Cyber, he's crying right now. He's not really. Because of the changes of limitations of what is the siege that they excel at, which is that sort of point performance, sort of breaking through and finding the lead in, whereas the defensive side of teams, they're doing so hot. So maps and defensive side of Cafe bank into a chalet.
Cafe's been interesting, Emmy. You know, as we know it, this is a defensive stronghold, but here at this event, it's actually one of the most attacker-sided maps. And I will say, Virtus Pro definitely did not help this stat line as they punished. I can't remember what game it was when they were playing that, but that Cafe with Virtus Pro was truly insane. Some nice OSA strategies and other things coming in on the offensive side that definitely made that stat line a little wonky here for a little bit, but it doesn't mean that it can't go the same way here between FaZe and Wolves. We'll see what they have to say about Cafe as we hop in. Obviously, we have Bank and Chalet 2. Bank guaranteed. Chalet if we get to 3.
I think it's the thing as well, we're reaching a point where these maps have generally been seen by everybody. These two teams, I think FaZe have a wider map pool. They have more expression that they can do. But when you're playing best of threes every single day, you'll start to have to stretch yourself. You'll start to have to hit similarities. We've had a Chalet, you know, from Wolves. We've had a Bank from Chalet, from Wolves. We've had a Cafe from Wolves. We haven't really had the same from the opposite side. I think we're missing a Chalet from FaZe as of yet. It's not that it's something that they've been removing, but it has generally just been up in their arms. They did lose Cafe versus SSG, so them sort of wanting to come back here from the side of Wolves is like, okay, what have Wolves read into that game where SSG were able to beat FaZe?
Most definitely. And FaZe feeling confident enough to leave it up as well, so maybe some minor adjustments. A few things they learned from that game up against Space Station, and as we know, for a lot of viewers at home and myself as well, Space Station, there's a little crazy. I mean, I know that, like, obviously, you know, you've had some time with them across these last couple events and stuff like that. You've had your own experiences, but man, I got to remind you guys from the NA boy himself, these guys, you know, they just pull out all the stops and do some really crazy stuff. So we'll see if Wolves or FaZe try to implement any, you know, harebrained schemes here, but they'll more than likely stick to their own personalities.
I think that's the point as well. Obviously, FaZe, they are playing for third or second. The seed on that, the difference there would be second place from, say, Group A will play third place from Group B. That's how that gets seeded out. So their position of how many games they're going to play doesn't change. The difficulty of their opponent might, but to be honest, these groups are so topsy-turvy and intense. I mean, it's impossible to call what game could be easier or better. I think you would just have to ask the team and be like, FaZe, who would you rather play in this sort of situation? Wolves, as I said, they have the heat, they have that skip, they have that buy, and they have the opportunity here. They can do it in 3 maps. They could get to Chalet and take it, and their Chalet performance has sometimes been pretty solid. They took it, as I said, versus D+, 7-2, 8-6 versus Bliss, but a couple of plays on it mean that FaZe, who are a very, very good team at seeing what's ahead of them and pulling things away and changing things up in the middle of a round, might be able to start to pull that apart. P4 doing a little bit of camera crime.
A little automated theft there.
A little bit of crime in the morning.
Nothing you can't do before 10 a.m., you know? That's what I always say. Morning coffee, robbery. Right after. Bibu. Well, is the rest of the gang going to start building things up here for a Red Stairs attack? I know, we're all very shocked that they're going to be addressing Christmas first here in this top floor offense. And, you know, it's like, at least for FaZe, going to move away from bar. Good idea as well, as the stat line for the top floor bar site has been absolutely abysmal at this event.
Oh, where's Tim?
Yeah, no, we talked about it yesterday. We were on border, and we were still talking about it because we had a little break at halftime for a bit, and he was going off. And honestly, I couldn't argue the point, I mean, because we're gonna fly in here. Got the Ying as well. Ying, the most banned operator on offense, but she's available here. And the Candelas are gonna get a lot done. Cyber is gonna go down, but Shinka's immediately traded out. A nice shot there from Mowgli, so he'll be able to take out one of his own.
Drift and hopping onto Lumber here. They're trying to find just some semblance of safety with the upside down rappel on the window in the Aussie style. KDS doesn't have much health left at 3 versus 2 as P4 Buried in the cool cold of the freezer. They've wrested some control, but Viking doesn't want to hand it over entirely as of yet. Remember where the site is. Two double body retake, hoping they can go for the 2 versus 2 fight, but no, Handy. Not quite confident enough, instead peels and pulls their way back towards the mid floor itself, sort of say, all right, Wolves, you can have the top floor, but you look at what utility they have and what they've lost. The Ying is gone. The Candelas made a bit of a push, semi-successful. They have the man advantage and they have that entry, but they only have about 45 seconds. No hard breach to open up any of the walls, the pillars. That'll remain. The back end of the site as well, that'll stay locked. This is just going to have to turn into a little bit of another strong arm in towards these 2 remaining players.
Most definitely. We'll have to funnel just a bit, but the key thing here is that they have so much utility still and so much time. They can confirm these locations, confirm this strategy for themselves, what FaZe are going to be doing. They know the smoke's now deep inside of Library. P4 is going to work his way down. Nice angle adopted here, but P4, they haven't checked things over inside of Fireplace Hall, and now FaZe, they've opened it completely up. Deadshot, very minimal HP up against the MPX, and Handy gets it. Wolves, not enough respect there. Just did not roll the drones in on the dining side, and a ill-advised swing on White loses them the round.
I mean, guys said it at the start. Hey, FaZe, they're pretty good at mid-round adaptations. They're a team that's very sort of comfortable to go, okay, this is plan B. Okay, now we're on to plan C. They can call. They've got great fluidity of their motion. And here, you know, for all that Wolves had done to sort of wrest control of the top floor, they at that point then you're looking at what's in their pocket, what they've got to do to try and go for the push with the time that's got left. And it is just drone and hope. The players haven't moved. It's try and win these engagements, which, you know, you sort of throw yourself into a different game. You throw yourself into an FPS game that is an FPS game in its purest form. FaZe are very good.
Yes.
They're very, very good.
Probably what they want at the end of the day.
At that style of game. So even with that man advantage, FaZe, they set themselves up and sort of said, all right, come on, if you think you're hard enough.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the main thing right there. Wolves, you got to give that respect over. You have to do your due diligence.
Yep.
Get these drones working into your favor. Get that info. We can't just know where one guy is and not know where the other is in a moment like that. It's only 2 versus 3. And you see, if you give a moment like that to somebody like Handy.
Oh, he's taking him.
Absolutely. He's running away with it. So, FaZe up 1 round so far, and they're simply going to shift gears across that mid-floor over to mining and dining.
Now, in terms of history, it's something I talked about watching the FaZe game and casting it yesterday, is you have one of the most SI experienced players of anybody in this entire tournament in Cyber. This is his 6th SI. He's been at every single one since about 2019, so he comes here with a
Cyber.
and you talk about him, and this was the point, is he's still performing at such a high level. Wait, that's a Rook! That's every operator's been chosen.
Oh, man.
That was the last one!
Was it really?
Fresh!
Somebody get fresh.
Fresh. Every operator. And it's Cyber. He's done it.
On the first pick as well.
On the first.
It worked out. It worked out.
Every op, baby.
Let me just grab the bat phone. She's making the call.
I've got to tell him. Because he might be busy.
He might be busy.
Ian Chambers has arrived today.
Cheeky Chambers, as I call him. Love me some Ian. Really good guy. Well, I can't. I just can't.
We're losing our mind already.
This is unbelievable right now. Unprecedented. Ugly. Especially after losing Bibu here. They do not want to get too over the top about this, but you can see FaZe flirting with that angle back there. P4 works his way in off the Logi bomb. But oh my! Using the SMG-12 at range is a little risky, but I can tell you the 11 works just fine.
It's just such a swing, as you said. That's Cyber with a second. Vidikin gets it on the back. And Shinka, well, you have literally everything to do ahead of you. Outside the building, every other player's dead. You've used some of your blinds, but are flawless to come off the back of the 1 versus 1 as the opener round. That's 2 in a row here for FaZe. And as I said, we've seen FaZe on this map with a bit of a sort of struggle against SSG. And it becomes this conversation of, okay, well, it's not just Wolves that might have learned some lessons from that game.
Yeah, no, most definitely. FaZe looking very solid. I especially love the fact that they immediately got in the faces of Wolves after that first round. It was a very, very close one, but FaZe wanted to set the pace, not allowing Wolves to get too far into this map and allowing them to get set up to try and go for really anything. I mean, not even their execution, but just for a clear of the top floor, something as simple as just getting to the roof. They weren't allowed to breathe right from the start, and I really appreciate that because of all people, they took out Bibu on IQ. That removes so much information from what's going on around the map. Now, I will say this. I really do like that BBU's sticking to this IQ because just look at what FaZe have in their arsenal.
Oh, my word. So yesterday I was casting FaZe. Cyber, bringing the MPX, bringing the Valkyrie every single round, pretty much. Handy, having a great game, having a great show. And to be honest, you put a Valkyrie MPX in the hands of a Brazilian player, it's good. Like, it's terrifying. It's just one of those, I don't know why they enjoy it so much, but they can make that gun sing. And it's, you know, and then you have teams not bringing the IQ. And I know you're sort of having to pick into an operator to deal with it, but it's a utility that not only they can use very well, I'm not going to say they rely on it, but you have to take their strong sort of points of their roster out of them.
Yes.
The IQ can do that with a pretty good gun as well.
Oh, yeah. The 5.52 Commando is nothing to shake a stick at. To this day, I believe, still has the highest damage model out of all the assault rifles. It's just lower rate of fire. I don't know if they've ever changed it from the very beginning, but it used to be like 52 back in the day. So, yeah, right? It's like, oh, I breathed on you. You are now dead. So, great gun. Really happy that they brought that back as well because, I mean, the report from the rifle just sounds so
it's
good.
It's such a beautiful sounding gun.
Yeah. Oh, Vida King
finds that gun. I don't think Vida King wants to listen to it anymore. The fight on the white stairs.
BBU at the last second was like, Mowgli, take this away from me. I must play Twitch. And now Cyber. Oh, man. Wolves getting fed to them as of right now. FaZe in this turn, obviously. Now for Wolves, I mean, we're a little spread thin here. We got P4 over on red stairs. We got BBU's trying to work his, stuff for bakery. And Shinka all the way over on white stairs. Already a timeout called mid-round from Wolves as well.
I mean, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
It's their map. It's sure, you're attacking the cafe. It's got to be intricate. But it's not that they're just being beaten here. They're struggling to find a foot in the building. There's at least Cyber removed. The Solace is gone. But this is just to get in that vertical control. They are able to, as they have in the first round, get some semblance of control. But you're looking at a minute on. You're still looking at the side execute. What are you looking at missing? Quite a lot of utility there on the opposite end. The tin openers have both been used by Shinka's pocket. So I'm assuming a hatch, maybe an angle onto either freezer or on bakery wall, depending on what they want the wiggle room for. But you've got Souls here just tearing them apart. The 4 versus 1, they're just swinging. They're just aggro swinging onto the side of Prep. And FaZe are refusing to let them get anything close to the side.
Yeah. And I respect the timeout in the mid-round, honestly, because there is something drastically going wrong for Wolves right now. And honestly, it's FaZe causing all of these problems. They're looking so darn good on this defense that practically the entire building is a bastion for FaZe. Really, the only time that we saw Wolves able to run amok and open up an advantage for themselves was that very first round. And ever since then, FaZe have just been on the gas, and they have never let up. They've thrown the e-brake and everything else out the car. I mean, they don't need it. They're flying around this track at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
I mean, the whole team of Wolves has as many kills as just Cyber sort of driving this game. We talked about the importance of Mowgli and Deadshot showing up in the series in the games where they did, and here they haven't quite been able to get into the pace. Wolves, they've been on the back foot a few times, both maps that they played the other day against Bliss. They were on the back foot. They were like 5-3 down and then pulled it back. They are no strangers to, okay, let's get our heads back in the game. Let's get ourselves back into this. They can definitely step back in. But FaZe, I mean, the pace that they have set so far to open this is that great combination of there's a lot of energy behind it. They're sort of dabbling, they're moving, they're swinging, they're keeping themselves active and doing that sort of pressure play they can do. But also, you feel like they could do this for a very long time. There's not a lot of stress in it. There's not a lot of strain in it. Very, very well rehearsed, which at the start of a long best of 3, if Wolves now have to step it up a gear, map 2, they're going to feel it. Map 3, Chalet, very, very quick map. I mean, you need all the sort of beans left in the can for that.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Now, out from the timeout here. FaZe going to work their way back into the mid-floor. As we were talking about, you're not really going to see the bar defense on this top floor. At least you shouldn't hear from FaZe. If they've done their research, they know that this is more than likely not going to work out in their favor. So, instead, it's going to be back to the mid-floor. Wolves of quite the lineup here. We're going to have Bravo working their way in as well as Twitch. I really like this adjustment here, Emmy, because you get so many darn drones with this setup here. You know, you have 2 extra drones with Bravo, 2 extra drones with Twitch because they have those specialty drones as well. So just a really smart setup to be able to get, you know, 4 extra drones in your pocket.
And a Commando.
Yes.
And the Commando in the pockets of the Bravo.
Don't forget the Para. I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
big fan of the Para.
Oh, my God. And I think the sort of swing of how we've seen Intel in this meta and how we've seen the control of what the defenders do, because let's be real, defense, they're real sturdy right now. You know, we're seeing a Valkyrie every single round. We've had the Dance of Solaces. The gadgetry in terms of this round isn't so intense. Obviously, there'll be ADSs to catch, but it's a lot of sort of active utility, and the Bravo drone cannot steal Goo mines anymore if you missed that update, however long ago that was. You are looking at just trying to piece together what is a very shoeboxy map here. And as you said, more drones, more intel, more ideas, and maybe a first catch.
Feels like they could have got it done there on Cyber, but nobody really occupying the angles. And obviously, Cyber doing his damnedest to either give them a bad look, get a big kill, or just waste as much time as possible. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Wolves have not tried to address this top floor just yet, and honestly, it's starting to get in poor timing as well. Got to get somebody in here, and finally we'll have somebody work in on the top of red. But the drone game dwindling a little bit up here as well. This info starting to die a bit, so they don't exactly know where Cyber is.
They're worried about things being messy. They're looking to try and get a clean take, something they haven't been able to do across this. Remember at this point last time, well, there's only 2 FaZe players left, 3 Wolves, and they'd already gone for the rotate underneath. There is a minute left here. They still have a Valkyrie that sat inside train underneath, waiting for some pressure. And Mowgli has seen the ping, is going to go for the fight itself. Do they know how close they are to each other? There it is. Handy is caught out, the swing round, but Shinka in the same time goes down. Souls gets 1, Souls gets 2, and KDS on the other side of the map, the swing on the second story falls to pieces. A 3 versus 2. 40 seconds. Mowgli's been able to recollect the kit itself. Bibu's going above. Souls gets his 3rd for the round. And although they had this sneaky play going on underneath, the execute elsewhere against, again, a very well-constructed backline from FaZe. Just could not find a space. There's 1. And there is only 1.
The super shoddy from up top by Cyber. You drop off to now. He just sent it down range. But man, FaZe are looking indomitable right now on these defenses, constantly at the necks of the Wolves and just turning them into puppies, man. Crazy, insane.
It's giving me flashbacks to when we last had LATAM domination, when it was LATAM as a region before they sort of separated it all. It was this map, Cafe, and it was FaZe attacking when I went, oh, this region is the best region at the period of time, because what they were doing in terms of their control of the play space, in terms of how mobile they were, in terms of the sort of creative use of the change of utility, after we moved away from the very stuck in the mud sort of shield and ADS burn and 30 seconds to execute meta.
Yeah.
It was this region that...
the funnest meta of all time.
Yeah. Like, this is a defender-sided meta. That was like a wall-sided meta. That was like... I hope you like looking at people throwing things for 2.5 minutes.
Yes, that was probably the worst time to do analysis on a game ever, because you're like, all right, guys, you want to know what they're going to do? They're going to set up all this utility, and if they mess up any of it mathematically, they lose the round.
Yeah. You want to see them throw 8 flashes at a single shield to follow it with a single grenade. There you go.
Nothing like trying to clear out garage in a clubhouse in that situation. That was oh my days.
Yeah, we're in a different defender-sided meta, and this one's still fun.
A little bit more fun, I'd say.
I think it feels more engaging in terms of like engagements, because otherwise there's 30 seconds left. But if 30 seconds, they're going to see if they can try and get themselves 2 remaining rounds. 2 on your attack on Cafe. It's not the end of the world in this meta. With the stats that we've got, you'll find yourself still able to get something. But as Cyber steps his way in, playing the other French defender.
Man, you keep seeing him just slip through these cracks where he's not occupying these angles, and you just really hope somebody's holding that cross.
Yep.
But Wolves, I think they're a little antsy right now about the situation. Why wouldn't you be? I mean, Cyber is 6-2, and he's constantly been in your face the entire time, making this a very difficult prospect for you to try and gather. And now for FaZe, they simply have to do what they've been doing this whole time. Set the pace, slow things down, let Cyber do a little dirty work, and girly, Mowgli's already done.
I mean, he's feeling him. He's feeling it today, Cyber. He's dancing on the side. KDS with the C4 coverage. Again, it's just this control. It's this activity. Cyber has, for the past minute and a half, just been bouncing either side of that corner and that pillar on Bathroom. BB finally gets the end of him. But think, not only the player that he's been able to waste, the one, again, that was followed and baited into the C4, but the time they go for the rotate down the red stairs, because, again, the side itself, you need to try and find a pocket of control and go for the execute. Wolves, they want things to be clean. BB's going to try and keep the best coverage on top, so they can try and maybe slip their way in underneath. At this point in FaZe, they still have the man advantage. They could apply pressure either side.
So the other thing is here is, honestly, how bad does FaZe even want that area? They don't have access to the hatch. They're more than likely not going to try and rip things up. And also, that hatch is reinforced. So
what?
There it is. FaZe, they are not scared of Wolves in the slightest. There's so many angles, zero info here for the Wolves, and FaZe more than willing to shut things down instead of letting the timer do the dirty work.
I have a worrying thing to say, Wolves fans, Wolves players. This is the most like FaZe, the team that everyone expected to be in the live stage, the team that has had a fantastic year.
I know what you're going to say.
The team that we sort of expected to be in the finals. This is the best they have played.
Yeah.
And this is a game that matters less for them. They could get second and third. Might be an easier opponent. We don't really know. But it matters a lot for you, Wolves. And this is also the follow-on to that is Wolves. I have cast you as a team for a long time. Cast Wolves fans, you know this as well. Sometimes pressure has a bit of a negative impact on this roster.
Most definitely.
The two scariest games for Wolves. The first is if they have to play BDS, because that's when everything usually goes wrong. The second is when they have to, like, win a game, have to win a game.
Yeah,
like,
when it's something like this,
when it's
where
something
it's
like this,
things have been built up to this point where now if Wolves have a clean 2-0 and nothing else really changes all that much, they're able to just take that first seed and completely bypass a decent part of the tournament.
It's like if this game happened yesterday or the day before, I'd be like, okay, Wolves, their mental game usually feels strongest around the middle of groups. Towards the beginning and the end, things go a little bit shaky. Cyber gets one. Do not let him get the second. I swear if he pulls this off. The impact. There's some cover. KDS. I don't know if he also went out the window or if he just rotated around. He probably just rotated in. Mowgli does get the pick back up. Okay, Wolves. Here we go. A little bit of ferocity, a little bit of revenge and response is exactly what you need, especially here before you find yourself on the wrong side of a flawless arc.
Oh, Wolves, I'd say it's a tantalizing prospect, but it's most definitely not. This is a round that you desperately need, and you're going to have to fight tooth and nail in order to get it. You've already knocked out Cyber, but the entirety of FaZe has been at your throats. And now, you have to try and get rid of this. Mowgli trying to shoot that Yokai through the floor, but this is solid flooring that he's standing on over here in reading. Bibu going to transfer himself into the mid-level as well. The entirety of Wolves, for the most part, minus our IQ sitting on white stairs, will be occupying this mid-space. Need to get some hatch work done. And obviously, Bibu with a lot of work ahead with the Skeleton Key.
I do like this bit of pace. It's something I've talked about a lot with this roster this game so far, is they are not being entirely timid, but they'll get into the setup of the vertical. This time, last time, they were 30 seconds slower. They're getting a little bit more energy. The perfect time to get that is just before the turn of the half. If they get one round, get onto their defense, it's a very defender-sided meta. You're looking at your map pick. You're looking at, they've used their timeout, but they can construct some rounds together, a 5-1 to a 5-3, and suddenly it's a very, very close game here. That is the importance of this, and KDS knows it as well. But there's the trade, and there's a second deadshot of Mowgli, and there's P4. Round on the side, checking the coat of a man, leaving just souls. A lot of bubbles for a Maestro, if you're not aware. He recently got a third, but the Elder is probably the main point of call here. That impact will do half of P4, but they're droning out. They know they have time, Wolves, and they know they have an opportunity they must capitalize on.
And this is what we were touching on earlier. You want to make sure you have all those little details before you step up. Just because Souls is in a 1 versus 3 doesn't mean he can't clutch it, folks. I'm telling you, this Alda, it's dangerous. Oh my God, I'm sweating bullets right now. He can tag up IQ if he gets her properly, and she's gonna go down. There's no way, Wolves. We can just drop the case and give it to Deadshot. There's no way that this is the way that this goes down. 18 seconds remaining. Soul's in the power position because Deadshot has to plant. He has to fake this out, and they've got pings on him, Emmy. They have pings. Souls, he can simply play this out. He sprints. Oh! Deadshot gets him. Oh my God, I was sweating bullets right there. Woo!
Woo!
Oh my days. It is too early for a round like that.
That was millimeters. The pings were there. You said they still had the bubble that was above them. The pressure, there was about 8 seconds left. Deadshot, I mean, as I said, he was the defining factor in the opening play day against SSG, where there was a cafe game. And he's been the defining factor here to get their first round. Could not have been closer.
I mean, honestly, Deadshot's very lucky that he had the EBR, because that aim right there from Souls, a split second longer, Emmy, dead. Doki's dead. Like, there's any other operator, any other gun that isn't that DMR, that more than likely you're losing that. And literally right there, right next to a perfect defensive half. And you really got to be feeling for Wolves right now, because they have to try and mimic this.
As I said, I mean,
it is their map pick. They should have a really good idea about this, right?
It's their map pick. You know, attack. It's not just a statement on anyone. It's a statement on everybody. Attack has suffered this tournament. It has been, from where we've had, you know, we were in quite a good attacker meta in terms of the grenades, in terms of the shutdown, even with the power creep, I would say, of defenders that we've had over the past 4 or 5, where it's like, oh, this dude does this. Oh, they do this? And you're like, okay, there's a lot of them. Who do we ban?
I've literally just been calling them the Power 5 this entire tournament.
It's like, and it's sort of terrifying here, and you are in this situation now where you're still able to thread a couple of rounds together. As I said, 5-1 is a horrifying half to look at on the top middle of your screen. 5-3, suddenly, it's very, very doable. You've just got to get your first 2 defenses. You've just got to remember that you can get the rotation. They just need to mess up once, and suddenly you have this opportunity. But you have to build behind that momentum. Oh, it's been ages since I've done an Alder clutch. That would have been...
So what if I told you that I got a stat line from the other game real quick?
Oh, give me a stat line.
I want you to take a guess. What do you think the score line was at half?
Between FearX
and Geekay.
Geekay 5-1.
It is FearX 6-0.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yep. That is what's going on over on. That's what's going on over there. Good boy's probably being a pretty good boy today.
I mean, I want to see Rin step up. I want to see Rin. But that's
Rin played so well yesterday.
Really?
I don't know if you got to catch it,
Okay,
but yeah, we were casting that one. Little clearance here on the top floor. We'll get back on subject as Bibu gets gunned down. Still had 2 smokes in his pocket as well. Kind of utilized that a little bit too late there to save his bacon. And, well, now we're going to sit on 1-1, well, at least for the death count.
They've got that opener here, and they pull themselves back out. They sort of lost it. You're looking at the trade of removal there. Bibu, the smokes gone. The time that they could have potentially wasted here on the plant. There's a little bit of an awkward stretch onto it, but it's much more important, I think, to control the verticality here than it is anything else and how much time was wasted. Cyber doing his best to try and remove some utility, but those Fenrir mines, unless they are activated, they aren't going to go to anything other than an explosive. And even when they are, I think you got to put the bullet in the front anyway. So quite able to get the angle. They're just steadily shepherding some space, assuming what they're doing here is going to try and plant on the closed Christmas door, but with Mowgli getting the drop down onto Vidaking. Deadshot. Oh, he wants to go for the doubled up retake here. 2 players towards the triple white. There's one on the far side as well. I think they're trying to just encircle the take. There's 2, there's 1, there's just Cyber. He sees a single player as he goes for the drop. As said, the diffuser went in where it wanted to go. But 1 versus 3 here. I mean, he's had some magical moments. He's had, unfortunately, not magic enough this time. 2 rounds for Wolves.
So both of these teams, respectively, on the offense, smacking their head into a brick wall when it comes down to the actual execution. The very first round, if you guys remember, for the Wolves on their offense, looks something similar, but it did boil down to the 1 versus 1 there that FaZe ended up taking. And then past that, a lot of struggle there for them on their offensive side. FaZe at least attempting some things inside of that first round, some aggressive looks here and there, but when you have Mowgli with a big moment like this in this round, then things are going to get pretty difficult. A triple kill from him, obviously, and I mean, really, at the end of the day, the Wolves just needed to make sure that their site players were going to hold down the fort, make it to where those last remaining FaZe members couldn't just waltz in.
5-1, 5-2, to 5-3. Hey, that's not a big difference. I know I'll keep sort of hyping it. We talk about power operators. I think there's 3 of the 5 on the right-hand side now in that core middle section.
We toss Valkyrie in there, there's 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 6 power operators.
Yeah, I think Valkyrie's... I mean, I was a Valk main since the start.
I mean, let's be honest, we all are. She's so good. You know what MP stands for in MPX?
What?
Must play. You know?
Do you know, this is for people who have only really got into Siege over the past, like, year, I think. Let me horrify you. You used to be able to toss Valkyrie cams outside.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny because I don't even think about that anymore.
You used to have 4. You could put them outside, border, just putting them on a wall and just jumping out every, like, 20 seconds.
You remember when they,
my God.
Remember when they gave her the arm of the starting pitcher for the New York Yankees?
Yeah.
It's like,
whoa! It's like you corner to corner the entire skybox of, like, a Valk cam. Yeah, it used to be horrifying. It used to be more horrifying.
Oh, yeah. Macy and Coconut Bras videos for 2 weeks before they changed that up were hilarious. Just the most insane Valk cam spots you've ever seen in your life. And I'll always remember that security tower one on border for the rest of my life. It's just so insane. But obviously, we don't have to deal with that stuff anymore.
No.
And honestly, great. Because
I mean,
she's still so good.
She's still so good. Here comes a shield. There is only one on the board.
Oh,
there
no.
It is, straight up to Mozzie. They got caught in the crossfire, I think. Mowgli and Bieber get one apiece. Deadshot does go down.
Oh.
Very important kills to be won on the back there. Huge reaction from Wolves to be paying attention enough to catch that push because it had started to roll. And if they'd got at least one clean inside Bakery, you could see that their eyes were firmly locked on the site. This is the benefit FaZe have. When you are up 5-2, you can take a couple of risks, run a couple of pocket plays, and see if you can try and get it touched down towards map point. It hasn't really worked this round, but it is a 2 versus 5. There is still a lot of time here. KDS, they have the ping on a player, but you generally know someone is going to be there anyway. The awkward situation is, well, he doesn't have the backup yet. That's about to come down to Brown or towards the window, and he doesn't have a route out.
Or worrisome because of that. Andy will traverse Brown stairs. There's that one in Whiskey. An important shot here goes a little awry, but that's A-OK. Stun in. KDS has to win this, and he's gunned down. Trying to play through the smoke up against Warden, probably not the best idea in the world.
No.
And also adding stuns, if you saw that as well. It's like, guys, he's got the glasses on.
Yeah, he's fine. He is fine. For Warden mains from ranked, you do have a gadget.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you guys suck at that. I'm just telling you. Like, I hope you know it's not just the gun, guys.
Yeah. There's more to him.
And there's a lot of utility in Siege. I don't know if you know that. It's pretty impressive.
Now, what we have here on the opposite end as well, and I mean, here's the rush that just caught out the player that was pulling back inside prep, got that trade, massively important. And yeah, there's the pop round and the blind. We have a huge intel game that is being driven by the side of Wolves. Currently, they are more than happy to lean into it, and you can see it very clearly here on the right-hand side. That is 3 dedicated intel driving operators alongside P4, Mowgli, and Deadshot. They are making sure they have full control of pretty much any approach that FaZe is wanting to put here, and that is such a respect paid towards FaZe's utility game. I said about it at the very, very beginning. They do it so well. Whether on defense or attack, they know how to play their drones, they know how to play their cams, they'll play the Valk, they'll play the whatever, and then they'll drive themselves with pre-placed drones and great positioning. This is Wolves going, oh yeah, we know that, and we are going to shut that game down.
Well, Deadshot's going to get 4 drones here from FaZe, but honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world, M, because they had a completely different operator lineup before those drones were set into the fire. And that's going to make it to where they can actually have a better strategy coming into this round. And honestly, highly appreciative, especially with this IQ here. You got the Valk, you got the Pulse, you got the Solus as well. A lot of influence here for that gadget out of Cyber, especially if used properly. And across the board, some really, really fine prospects, especially with Souls on Ram. Really like that shout.
I think the thing about the RAM is on maps now you sort of go, it's like Maverick. It's like, oh yeah, RAM on Labs on the base push.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, RAM on Charlie on a bit. Yeah, bring RAM. And then you sort of forget that, oh, well, maybe there's teams that have developed a way because the gadget has a little bit of wiggle room in how it can be used. Very noisy, can smash through barricades instantly, sort of like Oster's ability that's sometimes used of just like hucking it through so then they can get the breach behind it with a lot of noise. And those are the plays that I like to start to see now of how teams are going beyond the sort of, oh yeah, it makes sense here, but nowhere else, and yada yada.
Cigar now for FaZe. Looking to smoke a few wolves. Nobody on the top floor, though. He's close enough. Bibu's going to be over inside of Stacks. I think they have Mowgli over inside of Cocktail, but he's all the way over on like C3/C1. Depending on what your team calls it from side to side. Don't get at me, okay?
God, why don't you know every single call that every single team uses? I like when people are like, why aren't they using like micro calls? It's like you think viewers understand. Oh, wow, they understand that. See forward off of lumber or wood, depending on which you like.
We call it Stacks.
Yes,
because it's stacked up. It's stacked up. I've heard people call it drywall as well. Like, that's too many syllables.
So many drywalls as well. Wood, there's some wood there. Hey, it makes sense. Lumber, there's some lumber. Okay. Someone was C forward on the top floor in the southeast corner. And they get removed quite early on. What is it? It's the IQ. It is suddenly now more dangerous. I'm not sure if there is a Valk cam still present. We saw them place it on that top floor, watching across exactly to where the Buck is playing. And well, you actually have no more C4s in pocket. I'm not sure if all three have popped or if they just sort of dabbled and dropped. Yeah, they are all crossed off. So they got one reward from the 3 C4s they have otherwise thrown. Can P4 do this? Hey, Solace, what can you play? Ooh, maybe a bit of danger. He does get the trade out onto Handy, but look at the timer, Sam.
15 seconds remaining, and Wolves have done a very, very good job of keeping this widespread enough where they do have an opportunity to take this, but that should be all she wrote right there. Souls has to try and force this plant down. They know exactly where he is from underneath, and well played from Wolves. Well met across the board. Love how they got in the face of FaZe there, forcing them to clear that top floor, utilizing those nitro cells to their fullest advantage as well. They tried so many times to get one of those to catch somebody, and finally that nice little lob over towards Wood was the final one that ended up getting the kill. See, that's the beauty of Siege. You can call, as long as your team knows what's happening, that's really what the comm is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Some super funny moments if you've ever talked to any player about some of the stuff they call stuff in game. It's so funny.
If you're unaware how we do our job and how we work out what calls are, to sort of make it balanced across the whole thing, we sort of talk to teams. Obviously, we all play the game quite a lot, and we say, oh, if you don't mind, you know, what calls do you use? What sort of positions do you use for this stuff? And they'll give us their call sheet to a level. It's not like, you know, although Des says call-outs aren't skill, you know, it's always the split of things. We're in a very quick rehost here as we get things in. And then from that, we sort of bring it together and go, okay, well, they have 6 calls for this room. Let's get it down to like 2.
Yeah.
Because if we are saying they are blah, 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 they're, you know, if you're calling like Africa on border and people are like, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, well, this is what because pros need micro calls. Pros need the they don't like coordinates. They need to bring in the UAV. They need to bring in the airstrike.
The orbital VSAT must be up at all times.
Yeah, they need to know the exact like longitude, latitude to drop it in on them. Viewers don't. We don't. So we try and find that middle ground here.
Let's be honest, 90% of your ranked teammates aren't even going to know the comms anyways. Like,
yeah.
And that's even at a high level. Like, IQ and champ people all the time, and I'll make some comms that are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Where is that? It's like, listen, man, I know that the compass says whatever it says, but that's not what we call it, okay?
On ping.
Oh, that's my fit. Stop it right now. Stop it right now. Listen, if you're gonna ask Old Head Stokes, you know, his opinion on that stuff, get rid of Yellow Ping immediately. Just make it where people have to calm again. That was such a beautiful moment.
Oh yeah, there was. Oh, we keep just like reminiscing, guys. There was a time when Yellow Ping wasn't in the game. Look at them holding hands.
Aww. What a love story.
This is a French romance tale for the ages.
Oh man.
And like, I mean, Put that on socials. There's a photo that Fresh tweeted. I think it might have been on his Insta or he tweeted that I took in the green room yesterday of like him and Fabian. And Fabian's like cuddled up to him. And Fresh's arms around Fabian. They didn't know that I was taking the photo. They were just sat like that. And I like took it and then put it in the group. And then he's like, how do they build that synergy?
Nothing like a little cuddling.
How often do you cuddle Lynx?
How often do I cuddle Lynx?
Yeah.
As much as I can. I feel like he needs a little coddled, you know?
Yeah, he's like a teddy bear. He's like a small, very loud teddy bear.
Yeah, he's Ted. That's exactly who he is. He is a little political version of Ted. That is what he is.
I like how we can sort of, this is like another behind the scenes, like we can kind of see in to the other casting desk. I don't think they're there at the minute, but I don't hear them. So I'm assuming.
Did that game? Oh, I mean, it was a 6-0,
yeah,
right?
I'm assuming that it was able to be pushed over the line. I feel like they would be screaming if it was still going on.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, Carter's over there, so.
Carter is over there. Yeah, 5-4. As I said, you know, it's the matter that we have to. So every single time you come into a tournament, all we can do and all teams can do is drive by a combination of VODs and then statistics.
Don't forget your scrims. Your scrims can also do a little help.
We unfortunately don't get the full taste of scrims.
And we don't get to scrim, sadly.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd love to scrim you Europeans. Put Fresh in a body bag. Oh, man.
Let's see some 1v1s later.
Dude, I haven't even played Siege in probably a month or two either. That'd be perfect. Fresh might actually have a chance.
Anyway, you come into a game and then you sort of see how the meta changes. But we have to remember what has happened recently, most notably grenades. Now, I'm sure some of the people that are very into Siege Esports will be like, hey, what? It's so defender-sided because of the grenade change and Tubarao. But I think mainly the grenades. You have to realize 6 months ago, 5 months ago, a huge amount of bringing a sort of operator was sledged with grenades. Was the drive of not only being able to take out players in positions, if you've got your practice pulls, but utility from underneath.
Yes.
Driving and forcing out positions with grenades was just how the game was played.
It completely changed the way that you took the map. Because you're not addressing the site directly. If they're on a top floor site, you take underneath and you play good info and you're more than likely going to kill somebody with a good frag grenade.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a danger as well that players were aware of. So you would set up defenses with an understanding and idea that, okay, say for example, you know, you're trying to be a little bit aggro against Skylight on this and you're sort of just tucked behind the double door or just tucked into freezer, a well-placed and practiced grenade can kill you instantly and you can't even react. So you had to pull yourself a little bit back. You had to be cautious of that danger. Now that danger is gone. And it's so sort of defining of how these teams go because I think all of our statistics, you have to minus 15% of attacker success across every single team. And then teams like Wolves, teams like Virtus Pro, teams like Dark Zero, who had these heavy setups and these sort of designs, they're like, oh, our thing is great now.
It's so back.
Our thing is great now. And then the teams that were built on great attacks like FaZe, W7M, G2, you know, the reason you've seen them having to reshape things is because they were so good with what was, for pretty much everybody, the tip of the spear on every single push.
Yeah, for years.
And that's gone. And now they're like, we gotta reimagine stuff. And they're learning it as the tournament goes because, as I said, this was a very recent change. You were able to scrim, but this is the first major tournament
yes, it is.
Living with this change that is defining a new meta.
It's hilarious because I was walking down the mall with Pangu. We were talking about, you know, meta and all that kind of stuff and how the offense has been playing and everything. And he was like, "Man, I just don't understand the difference between here and Atlanta. I feel like you know the nade change happened and all that kind of stuff. I just don't really get it." I was like, "Well, when do you think the nade change happened?" He was like, "It happened before Atlanta, no?" And I was like, "Oh, Nikki." I was like, "Nikki, no, it did not. It happened. It happened after."
Two-time hammer lifter.
Yeah. By the way,
he was talking. He was at breakfast the other day, and he was talking with Fabian. He said he's got a theory that his long-term memory's ruined because his short-term memory was so good from playing esports.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, maybe this is the reasoning, or maybe we're just old." And I was like, "Yeah, it's probably old."
You just need some more spicy brain where you just start remembering stuff that you shouldn't even remember.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, why do I have this information lodged in my synapses?
That's having a conversation with Milos. Is he'll just be like, "Oh, remember in 1682?" And they're like, "This like Milos, how do you know this stuff?" Mowgli, he pulls himself away. Again, they're still driving this information game. They have the control of the drones. As I said, it is an important part of stopping them. What do they have? Both. Shinka on the mute, Deadshot on the Mozzie, your drones on Cafe. They're not going to get very far.
Most definitely. And I mean, this lineup across the board, this is something that we would see time and time again about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
You'd see the mute, you'd see the Mozzie. Mowgli. He's going to want that one back. He didn't even touch Handy.
Yeah, I mean, he took a gamble. You can do a couple of jump outs on this. You can get a little bit aggro and aggressive. And look at the time as well. If he'd have got a kill there, a single kill, even if he was traded, that would have really slowed down FaZe. Now, FaZe have an opportunity, and look at them capitalize on it. Pushing their way up, swinging the back end of the top white. At this point, obviously, the site is below. FaZe, they have some control, but they're just making sure they're not being caught in cam. As they said, they were punished from the C4s before, and they don't want to suffer the same game. There is still one left in pocket of Shinka, who's ready to watch in case the rotation comes underneath. Talking of Deadshot, he's getting himself a little bit higher up. KDS takes a little bit of damage, but not enough.
This is going to get worrisome now for Wolves. Something drastic is going to happen here with this execution from FaZe. But the beauty of this situation for Wolves is if they're able to nip it in the bud, there's really not much time for FaZe to try and manipulate the rest of the round. P4, he's worked his way into pillars. He'll try and occupy this area, potentially shut down the player rotating in from hell. Shinka's going to drop off. There's no nitro cell here, but he does have that shotgun to try and utilize through the floor if they want to try and go for something like that. P4, he'll find one, he'll find two. Vita King still sticking it though, and he's going to get off the case. He was seconds away. Nobody was watching him. He could have already had this down. P4 is going to go for the rotation. He will, and the case is actually going to get stuck. They know where he is. They're going to have to try and go for the retake here, but the verticality is in FaZe's favor.
I mean, they took a massive gamble there. They were so worried they would just get killed from the watch above. KDS, he's gone underneath. They could not have had less time to get the kit down. They're swinging for the single fight inside the site, and they win it out to 2 versus 1. Cyber, though, he's the remaining player, and well, he's still working out whether he wants to keep the vertical. He's listening to the cover. There's the shots about to rain through, but Shinka's going to stick it. They're looking for the pops. They can't quite get it. No, Cyber! He was centimeters away. He was a little bit late. He was chasing via the gadget the chance of seeing where that was being done, and we're now in a level game.
Yes, we are. As FaZe have completely squandered the advantage that they gathered on their defensive side, we now sit at 5-5 and attack timeout will be called. And honestly, I think that that is something that most definitely had to happen there. I mean, there was a lot of missteps there, especially with P4. I mean, a great move from him. Do not get me wrong. Great adjustment to move over to pillar and understanding that that timing more than likely means that they're not going to check things out once again, and he's probably going to get a big kill. And that's exactly what happened. The biggest thing there for me is Vita King not placing that case down the first time around. You are less than a second away. If you've already made it this far and nobody shot at you, just stick it. Just go.
I think that was the thing, because the bodies that were the cover on towards that library door were dead.
Yeah.
However, the fear that both players had, so the FaZe fear, the Vita King fear was they're going to swing me.
Yep.
And he will know where his team are. They have vertical.
Yep.
The fear that Wolves had, the fear on the swing here from P4, there's the cover, is, oh, they're watching from above. Beautiful transition there. On towards the second player, onto Heaven. And then here, it is, they're just assuming someone's in that position. I mean, what a bite back this has been. Hey, remember ages ago, this is like several things that you throw into the air. Remember ages ago I said Wolves often come back from being deficits?
Yes.
Here's a 5-1 to a 5-5. Hey, remember when I said this is defender side of meta? Here's a 5-1 to a 5-5. I mean, FaZe, they just need the one round to push themselves and guarantee OT. Maybe even the map itself. This is Wolves' map. How much of it is the meta? How much of it is those stats? How much of it is warming up into the game? It is impossible to call at the minute.
Well, definitely goes to show you how drastically Virtus Pro messed with the stats on this map defensively. Because as we said walking into this map has been known as a defensive bastion for so very long.
Yep.
And we expected it at some moment in time to start rolling back into that favor. It was just that, I mean, simply, Virtus Pro were so darn good about attacking this map that it really drastically changed those statistics. But now, as we can clearly see, night is day, and You get what I'm saying. Night and day, rather.
Night as day.
Night as day. Yeah. It's my first morning shift. Okay,
yeah, I was going to say, I've done every morning.
Yeah, you literally did this to yourself. We were talking about that earlier. Emmy made this schedule, and she did not realize until the very end that she had actually set herself up for every single morning shift.
For people mad at, like, oh, people happy if casters covering certain games, my bad. I did the shift.
It's all Emmy's
P4?
fault.
Oh!
How? What day of the week? That KDS got that. Oh my God. No way. No way. Do not repeat this. You are a psychopath. This is insane right now. Deadshot will at least be able to pick up souls. He clambered up white stairs, but FaZe been pretty solid after this timeout so far. Oh my God! Cyber! That is the most insane thing I've ever seen on white stairs. He's turning it red. Oh my, Bee-Boo. Head for the hills, my friend. Run away! Oh! Cyber Nano. He puts him in the tornado. FaZe Clan on map point. My God, Emmy. What kind of a madman does it take to hop white stairs?
That was, imagine, no, okay.
Woo.
Okay. The first fight and the second fight, I don't know how aware he was of the player that was slightly further down red. He wins it out. Fantastic. He got here. Perfect.
Insane shot.
Then he's like, I need the second fight on the top. Then he's like, I want brown. He hops this and he goes, I want both of them. The knowledge to go for the knife on the first guy, realizing they're fighting someone else, and they haven't noticed him, in the middle of hopping white and seeing two players. Do you know how many people would mess that up?
Yeah.
99% of people. Unbelievable scenes. One of the plays of the tournament. You are welcome for watching Cyber.
One of the plays of the last year. Yeah, shout out our spectator.
Shout out
oh man.
A spectator. It's easy
It's
peasy.
easy peasy.
Easy peasy, baby.
Love you, Easy. Good stuff, brother. That was a hell of a catch, because I guarantee you there's 1,000 people that would have never even considered that could have happened.
Unfathomable that.
I mean, and I like the cosplay he did there. I like the cosplay he did there. A little Ezio Auditore, hopping off white stairs. So
I heard the eagle screech. God, I need to.
Yeah, apologies on that. What the heck happened with the headset there for a split second? But I'm going to sit perfectly still now so I can save all of your guys' eardrums.
Almost impossible for you, I think.
Yeah, actually, no. My leg will indeed be bouncing, but the rest of me will be perfectly still.
All right, Wolves. You are now sitting on the wrong end of match point. You've done fantastic to buy yourself the time and build back in. You only won one of your attacks, though. FaZe is going to see if they can double down and make it the FaZe show before we find ourselves on to map 3. Map 2, though, would be FaZe's to lock it out, so Wolves really need the energy of getting this at least to OT. Cyber, he's going to see if he can try and continue to tear his way across the top floor. Has the pings and the intel and the read at this point. Mowgli is going to be the first person he finds.
Oh, my days.
But it's Souls. Beautiful shot from Ram on the far end. And look at this. They're just continually pressuring and applying themselves against the defenders.
Nade out here for the top white. Shouldn't clear that out. And oh no, dead shot. He's looking so desperately to try and get them back into this round, but it's going to be P4 with the very first kill here for the Wolves. A nice nitro cell, even things out, and all of a sudden, this looks doable for the Wolves as they're able to peel back now towards the site, though. Cyber, he's going to work his way in towards white. Does have one in tow with him, but they're really going to want to try and gather a little bit of control over this top floor, whether it be inside of Christmas or what have you, we'll have to see. But yes, indeed, it does look like they want to try and get this hatch control so they can start having some influence over mining.
They have the read now, and Wolves have done great bits of sort of play and little pops to make sure they stop the momentum. FaZe, since their attack timeout, have been so driven, so just hell-bent on saying, look, they're trying to fight back against us. Let us just keep pushing. Cyber might not know about the man to his left, but he's hoping he's not knowing about the player to his position. That'll give some of the game away. And it's Bee-Boo playing this very risky position. As soon as a drone spots him, he is in so much danger. There's the drone, there's the spot. There is the rotate. Cyber not able to make the connection, but there's Shinka making one on the back end. They were too focused on one player. Shinka hits two. Cyber, I mean, if there's anyone you want alive in this situation, he's the man. But look, Wolves, they've rotated their way back up. They're trying to find either side of the stairs. They're waiting to see where the kit's going down. Inside the doors either split, and P4 is rotating to offer some support. And there it is, P4 with the cover. Very well played there from Wolves to keep that control in the motion and the rotation. We are going to overtime.
Most definitely. FaZe, I think, with a very solid idea of how they wanted to take that top floor. But Wolves, not only with that big kill, but that nitro cell coming in from the second floor. I mean, that's the biggest deal right there. They equalize things. They slow FaZe down just enough to where they're able to put a collar on them. They are not allowed to move around in such an aggressive manner anymore. They're not going to use that loud tone with their parents, are they? And get slapped back down. And into OT we go on Wolves map pick.
It was a clever sort of plant spot as well. When you're looking at a Solar Spin up against you, you're looking a little soft underneath you, you find that one bit of concrete. But the other trade-off there is that position is very open to multiple different swings. Wolves had the read on where it was going down as well. And you see they did not wait, or they did not take the engagement until the second player had rotated the way back up, until Bibu had returned. It's a 2 versus 1. They know very well play it as a 2 versus 1. Do not give Cyber. I mean, don't give him a 2 versus 1. Give him like a 5 versus 1 and hope you still win.
Yeah.
But don't give him 2 1 versus 1s.
No.
That will not go well.
So a little fun fact I found out about Solus recently from Pengu, of all people. Did you know that if you drop the case, like on offensive side, they can see it through the wall and it looks like you're planting?
Yes.
I haven't seen somebody do it yet.
I've seen
But I'm going to put that out into the ether and see what
no.
happens.
I've seen it done. I can't remember who did it. I think it was on a border, not at this tournament, but on a border attack. They did it on Armory to sort of bait it because you have the little tuck and plant. And they were trying to bait out like C4s and stuff like that. So sort of ran and dropped it. It's still a very dangerous place for the defusers to go down, but at least you keep your life.
Yes.
That way round. Let the utility sort of go off and go, okay, now we can like move in. They've wasted like 2 C4s.
Yeah. Or situation like that right there, it's a 1 versus 2. You type for a second, then drop the case, and then just wait for somebody to try and peek you because you're gun up. You know, something like that could definitely throw a spanner into the works that could potentially earn you a round in a desperate clutch moment like that. So we'll have to see if something potentially pops up down the line.
And I know it's one other thing to sort of say what I really liked about that last take from Wolves, though. Having a Solace in a 2 versus 1, a lot of teams would go, I need to be underneath. They go, no, we're not playing gadgets.
No.
We are playing the 2 versus 1 fight. Get your ass up here. We are not giving them 2 stories and risking it.
Just play the info through the wall. Make it tradable, right?
Make it tradable. Talking of trading rounds, we find ourselves obviously in OT with Wolves leading on the defense here. Statistically, this is going to work well into their favor. P4, he's holding on in Cigar, hoping to find a fight with a little bit more of a balance as Cyber tries to get the read in onto the lead there. Putting little bits of pressure. We can see the Dockerby all the way on the far end. Not sure if they're trying to enter the bottom white, but caught on the hatch. And this is perfectly played here, as I was sort of alluding to. FaZe were spreading themselves very wide to try and catch these rotates that Wolves have been doing from the top floor down.
Big patience play there as well. They identified that the hatch was open for Cigar, and eventually somebody's more than likely going to make a rotation. It just so happens to be P4. You know, a little antsy there inside of Cigar and ends up trying to peel back, but gives a kill over the FaZe instead. And now Wolves, although it's, you know, low on time here, looking a little worse for wear, but still have the opportunity and well within their right to try and make a bid for this round. Some top floor presence still over inside of Cocktail. FaZe have kind of got to hightail it into this round here. We don't have any more logic bombs on handy. The drones also starting to dwindle just a tad bit, and after Mowgli gets a big kill like that, it's going to be handy actually with a double on the SMG-12.
I talked about the Dokkaebi a while ago, just sitting waiting around the bottom of white. They were happy to be the sort of anchor, the back line, the anvil, and let the hammer hit from the opposite end and collide with them. Beaver caught out by Handy. Either side of the chassis leaves Mowgli. There's one, there's not quite 2. FaZe, they've been able to find the first attack. They've been able to, of OT, the third of the game in its entirety. And now they head to their defense. The pressure is massive on Wolves right now.
All right, Wolves. This right here could be one of the biggest rounds of the tournament for you, depending on how your story ends. And hopefully, you guys don't go quietly into the night. We must find out as we have reached almost our very last round here. We have a possibility of 2 more rounds. Personally, I think that FaZe closes it out here. But Wolves, they have a very solid bid. They understand what FaZe has been looking for on this defensive side. And if they can, game plan for this aggressive look that FaZe has been going for, especially from Cyber, especially as Cyber is back on the dock. I mean, man, there is some potential here. But how are you feeling about this? What do you think?
I mean, I think the sort of the worry right now is their last attack was so long ago. Their last attack was a win, but it was an entire half a game. It's almost like you go into a bit of a game reset. Sure, you have the energy, you have the excitement, you have the momentum, but you have to sort of throw your heads back towards how they were on the first half. They built towards that one-round win. FaZe, if you look at the past 3 rounds, they've won 2 attacks. If you look at the past, 7, they've won 2 attacks. It's a much quicker distance FaZe had to go straight into their attack. It's a bit of a benefit here, even with the site preference. So this is the problem right now for Wolves. If it's a game reset, if it's we just got a win one round here from the side of FaZe, they might be able to lock this out with the confidence that they did at the start of the map.
Oh, handy. There's a reason not a single Wolves player rappelled up that, guys. That's because as soon as you hear the rappel go dink on the top, if you throw that nitro cell in good timing, that person is dead.
Oh, yeah.
They're more than dead, let me tell you. Sent into limbo. FaZe. Solid consideration on this top floor. We got the Warden here playing over towards Heaven Door. Cyber's still over inside of Christmas. You can see the Wolves trying to clear things up here for that Hell panel down low, making sure that they can try and work their way in and potentially get a plant inside of Reading.
Slapping mags!
Again, this is the respect paid towards the Valk game, towards the Intel game. It's something that has to be done on this map, on this site, against this team, in this weather, on this day, in this dress. The blinds come through. Souls gets knocked out first. The perfect person to remove if you're going for a Candela and smoke base push. They wrest some control here, much quicker than they usually do. Vidiking, though, bites and locks it off inside the shotgun, just on the library door, with Handy still tearing through again. You put that gun in those hands of Brazil, and the MPX is terrifying. P4. He's got himself up. He suffers a bit of a scrape all the way from the opposite end onto the piano room. Bibu's wide there. They want to try and get the pinch on the player and hope they're not quite aware of it. But it is Cyber, and Cyber does as Cyber does. A 4 versus 2, a 4 versus 1. P4 has to try and find a couple more kills to make it an ace clutch here to keep Wolves fighting on their map. Flashes out. Players are as well. There is a minute, so much time. Cyber, he knows there's one left and he knows where he is, so he takes a safe rotate all the way around. P4 with the drop, almost shot there from the side as they're just sort of making a statement. He sees the head of the player. They haven't moved. They're sort of up and down. They've double stacked themselves the skeleton key for a second, but he is so low health. It will just take a scrape. Drifts up the side of the door frame, can't quite get it through the lumber. 20 seconds have passed. He gives himself a root round to make things a little bit more concerned. You can see they've changed what they're aiming at. They're still trying to piece together just where the player is, and he's sort of baiting the motion, the attention, but it's perfectly stacked here from FaZe. They've said, look, you only have one option here. It is a bit of movement, a bit of wiggle room on a pillar. Cannot find that lucky clip, that lucky bite. It just takes one bullet to hit one head, but handily removes them. And what we have here is FaZe with a first map, and it's Wolves is gone.
FaZe unfazed in this scenario, and I mean, it was getting a little scary there for just a split second. I really hope you guys can hear that as well, as they have the elite Doc MVP going on in the background.
How often do you see an elite Doc MVP?
Especially at a big tournament like this. That is absolutely hilarious, as FaZe are going to sing that tune all the way to the locker room as they take that map away from Wolves.
It was to the bitter end. It was also 2-5-1 halves. I think that's the thing that we have to sort of always reminisce here about this game and about these two teams going against each other, that it is such a game of 2 halves right now. And this meta is so driven and built around it. And this could turn into a hell of a long series.
Yeah, it most definitely can. I mean, especially with Bank up next, things can get really, really interesting with these two. But fortunately enough, folks, we're not far away from that. We're going to send you to a quick break, and when we're back, we have Bank between Wolves and FaZe.
That execute, so I think it's as much GK's as it could have been FearX's. Both teams putting up a good effort. Now we'll see how GK fare on the third bomb site. Same for FearX, show him. Just a couple shots fired over outside of the terrace window, and down goes Arukaze with those Capital bolts. This is what we know Hashom for, those flashy plays. Maybe it's with utility, or maybe it's with one-taps. We've seen him now one-tap Arukaze and KZ. A couple different renowned players. Excellent work for Hashom, and now excellent utility work as well. Pushing Rin back. This is what we need to see from GK, the confidence, the momentum to solidify their lead even further.
So much damage taken as well there by Rin from the smoke canister that just went off. There's Damek in with the Bravo drone though, at the clutch. He's going to try and see if some utility can be hacked. Now, a bulletproof on site, always going to be helpful, especially when you want to get a plan down later on. Now, they do still have that man down, of course, but that is something they can work on, especially as drones are being taken out and some players are being flooded around the site from GK.
You see Demek and Mephi going for the 2-on-1. Takedown tricks that moved into Pantry. Now looking to pressure Kitchen even further. They're not going to push in yet, or at least they shouldn't. Maybe they will with those smokes. I was going to say, you have to worry about seriously on that hatch. He goes for the Kiba. He knows he might be planning. He's going for the spray. The impact grenades go out, but it doesn't matter.
No, he went down,
in the process. The smoke canister landing at exactly the right time. Had those two things not happened simultaneously, we'd be in the post plant.
The impact there, crucial as well, is that dealt just enough damage to make sure that that smoke was going to be able to tick him down. Demek goes down now as well. Only 2 members left standing on FaZe.
Noodle seriously still have top floor control as well. So Good Boy and Rin have to go for some of these kills. Oh, spots the Azami, but doesn't react in time. A lot of damage dealt to seriously, but Rin might be caught sprinting. No, has information, but Noodle's too solid. On the drop down into Kitchen, 3-1 now for GK. They are finally brushing off that 7-0 and giving FaZe a fight.
That came down to milliseconds. There's no other way. This is the moment where I would love to have a timer that just pops up right now, so we see the exact moment the player gets injured at the moment that the diffuser was. Tactical timeout though for FaZe. Of course, they managed to get around. Managed to do that quite some convincing fashion, but ever since it's been GK that's been kind of running over them slightly, especially, you know, when you just have the opening that Hashom had, the 1v2 that we've seen from Hashom in the game earlier. It seems like he's been stepping up of his play right now. And Rin, on the other hand, slowly starting to back down. Just a single kill in those 4 rounds so far. Basically the complete opposite from what we've seen in the previous map.
Yeah, Good Boy still remaining the only constant between maps 1 and 2. Of course, you have Mephi stepping up, but then again, pretty much everyone on FaZe stepped up on the first map, so not going to give them too much flack yet. We'll see if maybe just a little nerve starting out. And I like this timeout from Dark because even though it might seem weird, we've played 4 rounds, you've only got 2 more on the attack. As Skyscraper tends to be, even before a lot of the sort of defensive-sided changes with frag grenades and tuber out, this often was a map that was won on the attack. If one team could get 2 rounds instead of 1, that would make it a 7-5 on a map that is typically very, very defender-sided. So if you're able to make this a 3-3, you win up 6-0 on your Oregon defenses, and Skyscraper is similarly difficult to attack. Manifest differently, but the difficulty is almost comparable. So getting these next 2 rounds is an imperative if you want to feel comfortable going into the next half.
For sure, and even just 1 round would be enough, especially with the current meta that we're in. If you manage to find yourself in a 4-2 split, that's decent for both sides. And then it really comes down to who's playing the better attack or better defense game on the second half. So that's something that probably will be told by them as well. We just need 1, 2 if possible. That's just what we're looking at. We're trying to make the best out of this half of what is currently going on. And we're headed back towards T and Karaoke. And the first time we were here, it was the smoke plant from the Montaigne that came in clutch. Back then, we also lost Rin early on. He was playing around on the gridlock, of course, making sure that there was flank watch. This time around on the Nomad. It's going to be important to not lose out that player early on so you can still try and force yourself onto the side.
The Monty's been a constant fixture for FaZe on attacking this bomb site. When they wanted to go for a direct, the one that worked, they used it. When they went for the full clear, they also used it. They very much love this. There is Hashom, as we saw a little bit earlier, ratting in a corner, but I'm sure we'll see that a little bit later on, all the way down below, as at the moment, it is Geisha Wall. That is the first bit of action we see. Selma Charge already opening it up. Mephi sending in some Bs very quickly. Is there anybody to follow up on this intel? It does find that backstairs is clear, though, so I'm sure FaZe will be happy to find out that bit of info.
I think that's going to be it. And Good Boy now hoping and following down underneath. He's going to try and put in some verticality. However, as you mentioned, Hasham is, of course, playing down there. He's waiting for the move to be made. And he's waiting for that skeleton key to start ripping. As soon as that goes on, that's when I'm going to try and start collapsing on him. Noodle as well. He's going to be playing downstairs around reception. So we have the downstairs presence that's necessary to challenge Good Boy. And if they do so successfully, Good Boy's not going to be able to provide the same support he did before. He's not going to be able... Okay, I was just going to say, he just died there, but Hasham able to find him. Not quite sure from what angle that was. Must have been from a quick swing through the door.
Yeah, he just popped up, swung, domed the buck, and now Rin is left hunting. Flashbang goes on in. Hasham goes for the spray, but Rin should be able to find this. Yes, he will. An even trade now, but so much time wasted on this roam by Hasham. And there's nobody taking down Key yet. FearX were able to win this last round at the pace that they did, slow as it was, because Key was the first defender to fall. So they immediately walked up backstairs. He's given up the position now, but he can still rotate. Oh, and actually not use any toxic canisters. He's actually used all of them already.
I was going to say that he used all of them already to keep the Montaigne at bay, who's now starting to move into a position where they can go for a plan. Seriously, though, will find Demic important, as that is going to be making the opportunity to go for the plan just a little bit less likely. However, Arkazi, of course, has the opportunity to try and get themselves inside. Why would you put himself into a dangerous position against Stralt? And now it seems to be all falling apart for the side of FaZe.
Again, it's those nerves that are getting the best of them. They see the camera, the instincts hit, they think they need to shoot it, then they expose themselves to all these players playing inside a T. Mephi in the 1v3 only gets one, but 4-1 for GK now. They are back and, well, better than ever, at least in terms of this series. But a 5-1 half on the defense. If a 4-2 was good, they got a good shot at getting even better.
For sure, and I mean, FaZe, they were definitely building up something there. They had the ground floor control, and of course, that is not directly the site, but you don't have to worry about any of those explosives to come up. Of course, you're being spotted around by the Black Eye. Sure, that's the thing. And if you want to go for a plant, you're not going to be able to do that sneakily when the camera is watching you. However, the position chosen to try and take that fight with the camera, you're basically putting your entire flank to DMR, like, that was maybe a small mistake. Maybe you should have had someone covering that off instead, or have someone else shoot the camera.
And it's another case of a missed drone right there, or maybe a lack of a drone at all.
Yeah.
It might be tedious work, but we always do have to say, not being able to find those isolated defenders, it happens sometimes. We all make mistakes, but it's still a mistake, and one that cost FearX the opening pick, cost them one of the main players to pressure from below as well.
I am going to say, though, there was a Valkyrie camera that was watching Good Boy the entire round. He's been sitting there for a minute 20, and then finally someone decided to go onto the Valkyrie camera and be like, oh, there's some dude sitting there. if that was checked before, Hasham could have gotten that kill in like the first 20 seconds of the round.
Hey, I'm not, listen, could have been earlier, yeah, but I'm not going to fault him for
didn't
still getting
impact
the
him
kill.
too much, right? Because he didn't do anything. He was just sitting there. But Good Boy will get the very first now, though. That's the Azami gone. That's the regenerative ability of the Kiba barriers gone. That's going to be making things a lot easier for the attack.
And the goodest boy for FearX right now, getting one of the only opening picks for FearX this half so far, as it's at least felt like GK have been able to stake their claim in the early rounds so consistently. FearX also moving away from the Blitz and Amaru push they tried to go for on the previous office defense. But Good Boy still below. What else could we expect? He loves this position, loves going beneath with the skeleton key. And Noodle anticipates it, opening up these holes, anticipating an entrance from the house door. Trix finds Arukaze, so the dough could be cut down with the run. He even goes for the re-barricading, key prepping a C4. There's two different players out there. We're just waiting for this to go up. Is he going to time it with the Aruni gate before they reactivate it? He throws the C4 out, or is he going to not use it at all? Could be a lot of kills flying out, but it's shot by Rin. Excellent find by the Yana. FearX stave off potentially a huge loss of life.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it is still that 4-4. You lost Arakaza, you lost the global early on. It's going to be making things a little bit more difficult. Mephi taking some damage as well from the impact that was just tossed out the front door. Good Boy opens up some verticality, though. It's going to be increasing the pressure, but he knows he's about to be pushed. You see the little bit of a read that he has there. He knows that they will be trying to look for him, so he goes for an aggressive peek, but wasn't aware that Noodle was on the staircase down below. And that's the difficult part with the staircase. There's two places they can be on at the same time. You would expect him to be higher up rather than already down, but because of that, they lose Good Boy now.
And just dry swinging the staircase. Not a good start to the late round. Hasham with the run out. Mephi, easy pickings for the defense. Rin just hops in. Try to regain the momentum, does spot one, but can't get the kill on Key. On the re-swing, just decides to vault out and is fodder reserved for Hashom's impact grenade.
Ridiculous.
Welcome back, and we find ourselves here. What's ridiculous? How that map played out all the way, all the distance. We found ourselves into overtime. Wolves, common territory for them. Unfortunately, they found themselves in the slightly uncommon territory this tournament of losing. FaZe, they were able to take Wolves' map, but it went from a 5-1 to a 6-6 to a 8-6. A lockout in OT with only 3 attack round wins from both teams across the whole map of Cafe.
Yeah, both of these teams respectively pushing these defensive sides to the limit. But when it mattered most, FaZe able to put together a pretty solid offense in overtime to be able to take this. I really like the considerations that we saw from both teams on these defensive perspectives while we're on the subject, because it was some really solid looks, whether it be through utility play, map control, something like this, you know what I mean, with the Solus underneath, or just all-out aggression. And some of the moments there from FaZe where they had some big opening kills and really set the pace on Wolves, making it a heck of a lot harder to try and take the map.
Moments like that where you think if that had sort of gone away there from Wolves and FaZe had been able to get that clutch, which was very likely. There were similar moments on the opposite end. We have to remember that the first half on Wolves' defense, it opened with a 1 versus 1. It closed with a 1 versus 1. They got one of those into their favor. The difference was a flick of a coin in so many of these rounds. Cyber. I mean, they gotta invest in some cybersecurity, baby. He was all over them.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Norton's, McAfee, download something.
Get all
here.
of them. Get all of them. Plug them in, Wolves, because he is on a heater today.
This man is ridiculous.
As well as Handy really started to pop up towards the end of the map.
Look at Cyber's first kills. 7 and 2. That is 9 engagements in one map.
And he
that
won pretty much all of them.
Oh my days, that is ludicrous.
Whoa.
I'm not talking the rapper. FaZe Clan versus Wolves, folks. We got Bank up next in between these two, and it's still pretty split down the middle. FaZe 55, Wolves 45. And I mean, with Bank going the way... with Bank being the way that it is as of right now, with some of these offenses and stuff like that, could be something good here for FaZe building up. Obviously, things have been somewhat difficult for them on this perspective, given the last map that we just saw, but some major changes can most definitely happen.
We take a breath. We take a breath before we get ourselves back into the potential chaos. Now, Bank, as I sort of said, at the start of this, there was almost like a... We've learnt lessons against you potentially here. We'd seen FaZe play Cafe. It was a very close game versus SSG that they lost. Wolves, unfortunately, had a very close game against them that they lost this time. FaZe were able to get the back-to-back revenge. Hey, where has this sort of happened? Well, Wolves, when they played Bliss on Bank a couple days ago, again, 7-5. They only just won it here. Bank, I mean, FaZe played it yesterday against Bliss, a 7-8. It's so many sort of close down to the wire performances right now where I'm really curious if it's a matter of, look, we could have won it by changing our game, or we know what they're up to. Maestro removed. Tell me the last time we had a Maestro ban. Like, how many years ago?
Man, probably, let me think here. When's the last time that Maestro was just, like, ludicrous? It's probably 3-ish years ago when Maestro was absolutely nuts. A little bit before that when he also had the ACOG. Yes, folks, for the people that haven't played the game as long as my old ass, he used to have a scope for that damn thing, and man, was it terrifying. In fact, that's the moment in time where everybody was like, I'll be a support player. Why not? I get an Alda. 81 bullets with a scope. Well, I mean, come on. It was beautiful. Very good gun at that moment in time. But nowadays, he's really solid due to his utility. You get 3 Evil Eyes. If you're pretty good with your mechanics on those things as well, they can be an insane nuisance because people try and approach them and smack them to break the glass. But if you are cheeky with your movement, you can keep that thing away. We've seen it a few times here in this tournament. Probably something that Wolves was just considering in these setups for FaZe. Did not want them trying to utilize Maestro, especially in something like the downstairs setup where they can set up Evil Eyes in the 3 corners of the room. You can see it just has 3 of them, right? And try and laser down their opponents when they're going for that case plan.
Wolves start on their defense, and the telling tale of this will be obviously, as it seems to be in this tournament, how many attacks FaZe can actually muster and pull out of a map that can work well for attackers, but also statistically everything's been thrown out the window across how well these maps have handled for attack and defense. It has been probably the biggest change of percentage between attack and defense success rate between majors since the last major in this invitational than probably since ever, really. I think it's just been such a sudden drop-off.
It's going to be this in Border, no?
Yeah.
Those two got to be like toe in toe.
It's just been such a sudden change. We'll see the cams, once again, very present, very prevalent. ADS is on the IQ hunt. This was the map, actually, that FaZe were playing, where I think it was Bliss. They never really changed towards the IQ. They didn't play against the Valk Cam's utility. They still drove against it pretty well, but I think the trick that they might be missing here is just the attention. And, you know, FaZe losing this yesterday 7-8 truly is such a knife-edge difference here.
Okay. Just seeing what we had
Yeah, a
going
little
on
bit
here.
of juggling
Yeah,
there.
a
I
little-
was curious. I was sort of letting it play out, and then, you know, you can break around a hatch. You can try and play against tricks or play against Kai claws or anything, but there's nothing really like that. So you're sort of like, okay, maybe you just missed.
It's a little interesting there with that impact as well as the 2-set on there. I think they were just concerned with them trying to go for something there. Didn't want to give them too many X-Kairos over, but I mean, Wolves, he's done a good job of peeling themselves back. They've gotten rid of half of the round, but now this dictates that FaZe has majority control here as they will start to build things up. And what seems to be CCTV room-sided attack, this Twitch drone of Vidiking needs to get a little bit more done. We don't know how many canisters are inside of that room. I think I still saw one on the desk in there as well, so just have to see. Is that one sitting on the desk? It is indeed. I got good eyes on that third-person cam.
I mean, this is, of all the sites, of all the gin bars in the world,
Gingers? Of all the gingers in the world? The gin
in
jars?
world, this is the one that you have to come to. It is a utility burn. This is the plant. This is the default plant. Even against, I think, any other site, this is the one where you sort of know what's about to happen, which is they're going to throw some smoke canisters. They're going to try and play against it. There's 2 left in pockets. There's only 20 seconds here. Have they left themselves enough time? No. They're going to have to go in for a strong arm. The blinds come across it. They should just catch that one player. The Azami, no, Mowgli somehow survives entirely blinded. Smokes pop as well. They're still keeping them off the site and being able to plant. So they have to try and run that kit further deep. Vidiking does. He's just behind the bomb chassis, but even there he's getting damaged, so he has to tuck himself all the way up towards the wall, close on it, as the kills start to echo across the back end of green. They're watching the verticality, and somehow Vidiking has stuck the plant. The vertical retake doesn't quite work. 1 versus 3, those souls. They have a lot of time here, Wolves, to try and slowly take this. They've got the vertical watch, but they have to make sure that these engagements are well-mannered. Now, the breach is very awkward. They could sit behind the bomb chassis and get this defused. And that's what they're trying to get towards it. There it is. Shinka starts it. Souls has to swing into this. He doesn't have the angle. They have this watch from above and straight across. A great retake there from Wolves.
Very well met. And the strategy overall from Wolves, very, very good right there. FaZe not capable of doing too much in the opening 2 minutes. And then, as you said, I mean, they kind of had to just try and chuck it into sight and hope that something worked out for them. But the way the Wolves had their crosses set up and the way that FaZe was trying to deal with things, not really playing into their favor, especially with just the amount of bodies that Wolves had swimming around down here. I mean, just look at that target-rich environment at the bottom of marble stairs. What do you do in that scenario? There's so many different things going on all at once. It'll make your head spin, and that's exactly what happens to the FaZe player there as they grace the stairwell for the last time in that round. Wolves now with 1 round in their pocket. They're going to head up to CEOM, see what they can get done going on this top floor.
I mean, the first round, the first start is the one to sort of shake off and go, all right. But it is, as I said, of anything that sort of plays the same way before and after. We talk about how the meta has changed a lot of these holds and brought a lot of life back into defenses. That one is pretty much exactly the same. You're not really getting grenades to catch. You'll sometimes send a Flores or a Twitch drone to remove Goyo canisters if they're a heavy Twitch team. You'll get control of the hatches the same way. The other sort of B take on that is to try and rush and break your way down maybe gold and maybe onto the vault drop. But otherwise, it's still the same, I think, really, before and after the grenades. And, you know, I think, to be honest, the one thing that might have more of an impact here is the translation between the mirror windows and maybe the Ash to go against them. Because mirror windows, if you're unaware now, from the front can be not entirely destroyed, but smashed by an explosive.
You ever drop your phone and then just be really worried about picking it up because you don't know what the screen's going to look like. And then you flip it over and it's absolutely shattered. That's what the mirror window looks like.
That's what the mirror window is now capable of being from ranged Cyber. Just missed the scrape on the stock wall player. They're just going to hold this power position. You assume they have a shield tucked around, which they do. They're just going to try and survive for as long as possible.
Oh, no. Please.
Cyber! Filthy removal onto the swing stock door.
Really going to want that swing from top square again, I'll tell you that. Unfortunate circumstances there for Wolves, as that was more than likely a kill onto Cyber, but those shots just going a little wide. Not even able to sliver up health off of him. Now he's able to traverse into top square. They have the assistance here from the north window. It's a very typical way of handling CEO. Mowgli downs that EBR to the wayside as well. One of the most dangerous weapons you can bring on the defense. And that exothermic out here for Souls. They'll blow these right panels up and start trying to set themselves up for success in this plant opportunity. Nice little swing there from P4, getting a little risky, but still has half of his HP to try and dance. BB will take down one of his own as well, and all of a sudden Wolves have man advantage.
They have the player on the window, but there's only so long you can sort of sit there by yourself, and you know the more support comes out with KDS a little bit further away. Are they going to sort of try and double stack and pinch the BB player position? Well, they're not able to get it. Look, 3 players all focused on Bibu. Handy from the other set of windows. 2 of them on repels, but it's a long road round. They find Bibu. But now they've got a huge rotate to make. They have to try and get themselves closer towards the site and the pressure. If they go all the way, that's about 15 to 20 seconds. Get yourself over, get yourself down, and get yourself inside the building. Are you just going to instead try and push up Spiral, which Deadshot is watching on the back of? They have fair eyes and fair attention towards this push from the top square. It's FaZe that now have the pressure of trying to bring it all together.
Attackers have recovered.
One bomb out. P4, low HP. And oh no. A split-second decision, and it looks like it's starting to go the way of FaZe. Shinka, he's been relegated to the corner here.
They've
putting
missed
time out. And oh, Deadshot! Be able to at least get one, but it's a 2 versus 1 now. They have plenty of time for this, M.
That's it. They just need to do what they can do very well, which is pay attention towards it. The kit is going down behind the bomb chassis, so he cannot get the shot. So he's got to try and push for the first 1 versus 1 engagement. Too late. Now it is back to a 2 versus 1. If he can get the player before they pop off and move, well, that's 1 pop off, but it's the 1 crouched. Just the right-hand side, the other side of a soft that's going to cause some problems. They are holding themselves as still as possible, hoping that they assume that the player is otherwise rotating around. Vidiking gets the kill. The unfortunate moment, you said there was a look away, but we actually had that from Deadshot just twice. A bit of classic siege timing. He was watching the swing on the top of the window square, through the breach that had been opened, looks away, and that is when, I think it might have been Vidiking, that entered and crossed, missed that one. Then he missed the second player enter on the windows, and it's rotten siege timing. It unfortunately turns a lockdown situation into a, how did you get there?
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, those kind of moments are hard because you look across the table and you're like, were you watching that? Like, well, actually, I looked over for a split second because I didn't know if somebody was, maybe rotating up this stairwell or coming for this angle or something like that. And I was just going to double back and look over in a split second. But as you said, sometimes that's all it takes. Those little micro moments in Siege can be the thing that breaks the camel's back, and that's exactly what we see in this regard. Wolves doing, I would say, a pretty dang good job of keeping FaZe at the gates. Just once it came to crunch time, FaZe able to get a lot done, especially with that little bit of luck on those crosses.
10 seconds remaining.
1 apiece. And as successful as they were attacking in the previous map, here now onto this one. Can they double their luck and double their sort of money during regulation? Because we've seen how impactful the attack rounds can be, how sort of much of the attention is dictated in terms of the success based on getting onto the second half and the latter half. This is their map. And if Wolves start to find themselves under pressure on this side that they've opted to lead on defense, well, suddenly you might have a bit of a blow. There were a couple of mistake rounds that were punished yesterday that FaZe did, that these are the ones where I'm sort of seeing, okay, will this happen again? They were plays that went wrong. As I said, they were often built on the back of their defenses, and Cyber especially.
Feed up and running.
What came out here from Mowgli? Some of that Nitro Cell in tow, obviously. The usual suspect for Valkyrie's kit. Some of those impacts we do see every once in a while, though. Nitro Cell's still here, and oh, Deadshot. A nice find onto Cyber as he was just trying to get rid of a little bit of info, but Not aware of Deadshot occupying the space on that top floor. That beautiful angle out towards top square. Gotta get a kill going the way of the Wolves. Mowgli. His way down into E2. Off the side of the elevator here. He is indeed, and immediately slapped off the face of the planet by Handy. 2 big kills. He knows where another one is as well, and he's got at least a little bit of HP to be able to take this fight. Oh, back and forth we go between him and P4. He's over here inside of Teller's office. Boo currently inside of E2. He's going to be holding things down inside of the elevator. So a cross here designated between him and P4, but if this is properly checked, this is 2 ISO'd one-on-ones, as long as nobody else steps up to try and assist with the situation. There's a lot of time remaining on this clock, and FaZe should most definitely use it to its fullest advantage.
They still have a lot of potential. They still have a man advantage, and, you know, as you said, they're a team that's happy to sort of play time. The mute jammer.
Souls, you can just punch it. There we go.
He's worried about that. Shinka being ready to do it, but Shinka also still has 1 in pocket, so he's worried about getting caught if he does this, rebuilds it. Unfortunately, I don't think that was the way around. He wanted that to go. But it does mean it's a little bit awkward for the Hop-In now, because you think you're safe, however your feet will be on display, and that is the hardest thing to get into an immediate engagement on. So he needs someone to still buy him a little bit of space. 30 seconds, 30 of it gone. They've got themselves tucked in, but if they're eyeing up, say, a drop on a hatch, it only takes a single player paying enough attention to get that cross, which is the area, and there it is.
Nice.
There's 1, there's 2.
Nice.
Fed and built it all
man.
into Shinka. They finally stop it, but it's just Souls standing in a 1 versus 2. They're either side, 1 on beepers, 1 on the small box. They're trying to get the player up. There it is, unfortunately, getting the plant instead. So now they can go for the plant with a bit of cover. There's the pop round. Bibu for 2. And that is Wolves to get their 2nd.
Very well done from the Wolves here. Not getting too over the top about these swings, making sure that they give respect to FaZe in these moments where they can definitely make a game-changing play. That's going to gift them another round here. It's 2-1 now in favor of the Wolves on this defense, and they're looking pretty solid thus far. Getting some nice picks early on, able to transition that into some pretty cheeky spots around the map, especially with some good patience. I really like how Bibu continued to occupy E2 there, making it really difficult for them to try and really build anything up on the other end. Yeah, it was disgusting. Handy put him to the sword right there inside of round 3.
Imagine having the read and going for that C4 breach and still getting caught. Like, it's... Whew. Lucky they won the round, because otherwise you would beat yourself up about that forever.
Oh, yeah.
You would be very negative about that. So, 2-1. Now, for the context, I was having a quick look into it. So I covered 1 game, and that was FaZe when they played this against us yesterday. They got 2 of their attacks before it went all the way. Wolves, they got 5 of their defenses when they were able to get it done. So anything less than 5, and they're slightly performing, you know, not quite as strong as they were. It was against Bliss and you're against FaZe. There's always those conversations about what is the stronger opponent and what they can take out of it and what you expect to lose. However, the sort of meter of pace that we have for Wolves defense is most of it is driven by it.
VD King, again, droning himself in from dirt. Actually, he's got the drone all the way over here.
Love some parkour.
Yeah, working his way up towards top square, and yes, indeed, a little hardcore parkour. Himself up onto the balcony here. I'm likely going to start droning things out for Cyber on this top floor, and then inevitably work their way in via dirt, trying to assist with a clearance or whatever FaZe wants to try and apply them towards.
Bibu in a do-or-die position that's often played in this statement. You can find pockets to escape. Remember where the site is. They have 2 stories to fall down, and they're just wasting as much time as possible. Time was that deciding factor. We talked about it in the very first round. It's a bit of a burning utility, and Bibu ducks underneath, removes Cyber, and then drops down. 2 hatches in a split second. They are all back down. They've paid a lot of attention towards it. They go, okay, now we'll go to 1 floor above because, well, VD King is getting some of this work done early, which they need to. But remember, they only had about 15 seconds to go for the plant. Everything was still on fire. If they get themselves an extra 20 towards the push, it might be a different position.
Well, the mirror window is going to go down. Well, there's definitely some stuff popping off over on A-Stream right now, I can tell you that.
Lynx is as loud as he is in the dressing room.
Oh, man. Well,
It's like we get slow utility at this moment just so we get the most of it.
It's the perfect timing for
As
us.
I said, it's the point of the round where it is, we know what's going to happen for the next 40 seconds, which is going to be they now have control over these floors. They're going to start trying to get rid of the Goyo canisters, trying to get a little bit of intel. But you know where the players are. You also, you know, you're very much locked in as to what has to happen. Yet all the players know this as well. You're up against C4s. You're not up against smoke canisters this time around, and you're not up against Goyos, so they don't have as much to burn, but there's still a lot of baiting. There's about 20 seconds of baiting that has to happen on those C4s, and unless you have the confidence to lock down either this angle to catch them or the other one to just cut this across and move that mirror out of position, it's risky.
Most definitely. I got to get something going here, too. X-Kairos out to try and deal with this, but Handy and KDS both go down. Mowgli, where did you find these kills? And Nitro Cell out, and that's the round right there.
Yeah.
There's no way that Souls gets out of this situation, and a nice shot there from Deadshot as he'll step into the angle and decapitate his opponent. 3 rounds go the way of the defense, and a timeout here from FaZe.
I mean, they sort of, I'm not going to say they lost the plot there. I was fully convinced that they knew where everyone was. Apparently, Mowgli had different ideas. I mean, to be fair, when you're in that situation and you have the man advantage, and you know it's going to be a fight on site, go for a roam. You can, if you die, and there's 20 seconds left, 15 seconds left, you're still going to have an engagement here. You actually get a cleaner engagement if you force it as well. If you're the one that drives the momentum, he did, got 2 around the back stairs. Because FaZe at that point were like, probably doing, they're like, okay, we'll go in 3, 2, Mowgli appears, kills 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, that's how close that was.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough look there for FaZe because you can tell from the opening strategy, especially with Twitch being in dirt and all that kind of stuff. They were trying to poke and prod around and see how many people Wolves really had on the roam, but then they also miscalculated the positioning on that top floor. Cyber steps right into the janitor and gets blown away immediately. Yeah, they're able to go into full transition into the mid floor, and FaZe don't exactly have everything that they want at that moment anymore. Wolves can just simply wait on timer and see what FaZe really want to do as they start to build things up. As you said, that little cloak and dagger there, right? They think they're a little patient. They think everything's going to be okay. All of a sudden, Mowgli appears from the ether, takes out 2 people, and that's the round. There's nothing you're going to do in a 1 versus 5 there, especially with such little time at your disposal to be able to take out all of the Wolves. So very well done from them. Already getting the timeout out of FaZe as well. This is going extremely well given the circumstances. And now for FaZe, I mean, you really want to see them try and address that down the line, but they're not really going to have another opportunity. I mean, I was really hoping that we'd see a stronger clearance as, the identification there should have been, pretty easy early on inside of prep as a lot of the hatches are open and stuff like that. It's kind of, written on the wall as to what the strategy is going to be, right? So you'd expect FaZe to kind of help each other out a little bit more on that top floor, but, I mean, they did still have somewhat of an opportunity until that Mowgli play.
3-1. Wolves and FaZe, they've taken a timeout. They don't think things are quite connecting the way they want. They don't want this to turn into a long defender-sided and attacker-sided split. Even though they sort of, as I said to you before, they think something's missing in our play. And they maybe also think we need to break up their momentum. We need to get them a little bit more hesitant because they're feeling a bit confident. Oh, that's a shame.
It's a perfect bullet cam. This bulletproof, I don't know if you can actually break it unless you have an explosive or you go up and just punch it where it can't see anything, but then it'll still get audio.
There's an explosive. That's a strong use of utility there. Imagine if you also put like a disc there, like a my disc to catch it.
Oh my god. I mean, stop giving them ideas.
Just give him have a utility burn, but for 1 bulletproof, hidden in a plant.
If I see that on Bank in the next 3 weeks, I'm uninstalling, and it's all your fault. Mowgli's going to be able to get souls here. And that was outside. He killed him off the window. That's case down. A beautiful find from him. I don't even know how the hell he got that.
I mean, I said they might want the timeout to break the confidence. Mowgli's feeling it. 3 kills over the past 2 rounds, as of yet. And you can sort of see now the attention that's being put forward at this point. The Blinds start to roll their way around. KDS onto the back of Banana. Vidiking is caught by his teammates Blind and then gets caught by Shinka on the far end. A little bit of crossfire in terms of utility. Do they know about the player tucked on the desk? Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they know about the player tucked on the desk. And there's the pop-up and then the shut down! They didn't know he'd got to his feet. Cyber I mean, caught in the middle and just had to take a second to go, okay, it's all to do. There's a minute. They're rotating around. They're trying to find a fight in the flawless. Wolves hit them with the fuller woo.
You're ridiculous. Not the insane stuff here from the Wolves. But honestly, FaZe just constantly running into brick walls around that site, around this map, around their decision making. The biggest thing right there in that round was the miscalculation on timing of that Candela. And I mean, even past that, I think FaZe still had some opportunity to try and get things to go their way, but those gunfights most definitely were not the case. You know, nice little prediction there on the desk player, but definitely, you know, wasn't doing that in confidence. It was just a pre-fire to see if something would happen. They checked the other window, and they're ready to bear. You know, it's a full gunfight out in the open, and Checkers player able to quickly dispatch the Banana player from FaZe, and that's really all that could be done there from FaZe. Try and get an aggressive look on that top floor. Try and get some kills going their way. But as we saw, not a single Wolves member faltering. This pack is strong.
This round will be the dictation of which team is slightly behind their beat, behind the path of the course that they were able to deliver last time they played Bank throughout this tournament. As I said before, Wolves, they got 5 defenses. FaZe, they got 2 attacks. Both of them going up against Bliss. So we'll see who's been able to sort of keep their pace and who is slightly off it. You assume FaZe, as I said, they're the ones that feel a little bit more behind the pace. They are on attack, blah, 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 blah. Attack meta, defense meta, blah, blah, blah. But also they've taken their time out. You've seen them get flawless, something that I don't think happened at all in the previous map itself. You're seeing them struggle to keep a handle on the players. And this is a map where if you're comparing this to the one we had just before on Cafe, I think Bank can be a lot more dangerous for roamers, and your awareness on where players are as proven, and that carries across both attack and defense.
And that's the one thing is, like, when it comes to the roam game of Bank, it's actually really difficult to pull off, especially if you're, you know, from the offensive perspective, allowed to implement some of these cutoffs. You know, you're thinking about things like the basement defense roam, and if you're able to get somebody inside of something like Printer to occupy the space over there in open area, that person can deal a very serious blow of damage to the defense, given the proper circumstances on those rotations. But that's just something that we hadn't really seen from FaZe yet. They're really trying to do their best to understand the full depth of what the Wolves were trying to attempt. But as we'd seen from the Wolves time and time again on these defensive sides, they've been able to really take it to FaZe in the early moments, make it to where they're kind of on that back foot. And yeah, FaZe, I mean, they're still rearing to go. They're willing to take a gunfight. But Wolves shut it down on that second attempt almost every single time. It's been so difficult for FaZe to try and put these together.
Just getting some clarification about something, because Carter, once again, has gone silent.
Oh yeah, that game is most definitely over. I heard him do the... Who was it?
We might know the first team eliminated from SI 2024.
I'm gonna guess here. I'm gonna guess and say that it was FearX at 1 and 2.
That's what we're trying to work out.
Oh man. Pow, pow,
so,
pow.
For those
it's your boy
that unfortunately were backing the GK horse, I have terrible, terrible news. They are the first team sent home from SI 2024 with a 7-0.
Okay, 7-0 the first map, 7-5 the second. Okay, I got you. Thank you, Hap.
Gesturing.
Yeah.
Hap apparently has never played charades in his life and was struggling.
That was terrible sign language.
He was struggling to count to 7 on his fingers for context of what was happening. But, moral of the story, FearX Korea, first of all, have won their first series.
Amazing.
Couldn't have done it at a more we gotta do it time. And a Korean team of the 2 that are at the tournament have been able to get themselves out of the danger spot. Now, DK, D+ still do have their game to play later on today. They might do the same as their country trip. Maybe you'd be inspired.
Come on, Woogieman.
I guess we'll have to see if Woogieman can Boogieman. But unfortunately, MENA, they are the first team in GK. It's the Wonsei Falcons. They will have a fight again for the region. later on, another region showdown to see if we can have a MENA team continue the great work they did earlier on at the majors this year.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel for them, especially given the circumstances of what they had to do at the beginning of this group stage. I mean, if none of you have visited any of our stats websites and seen the amount of players that the Falcons had play for them at this tournament, it is a whole heck of a lot. I mean, just in players, they have 8. Think about the back staff there as well. I mean, Falcons having to drop a bag in order to get everybody here. I can guarantee you that. So, unfortunate circumstances befalling them, but shout out to the Fearless Foxes as they are
my boys
able to stave off elimination.
Okay, we're back in from the game after the tech timeout. We are here, star from open. Again, a little bit of a break in momentum here, whether it works in the favor of FaZe or Wolves. It's impossible to call. We are this close to the sort of halfway point as well. They weren't allowed to talk, for the context of if you're unaware. The players cannot talk to each other during a tech pause, only to get the problem sorted. So FaZe, they might have just been stewing in what was the wrong side of a flawless...
We're going again.
We are going again. Another tech pause. Never mind.
I thought we were gonna have to podcast it. I was down with it.
I mean,
I had a few subjects lined up.
I was going to talk about how I became a camera operator in the break.
Oh yeah.
I picked up the cameraman, our very, very talented media team.
I'm not usually a big fan of paparazzi, but I mean, you make it look good, Em.
Yeah, it was Eric.
Amelie. Eric Amelie, the boy.
Always happy to see his face
Love
at
that
any of
guy.
our events. Great photographer. I'm not a great photographer, but I was just making sure. I took some paparazzi photos. I said, "Oh my God, Zendaya," and I took some photos of Ginny. I was like, "Oh my God, Florence Pugh." I took some photos of Anne. Oh my God, James Corden. I took some photos of Fresh. And I said, "Oh, if you want to use any of them, you can have the copyright as my photography inspiration, as my photography hero, Eric. You are allowed the copyright on any of my photos." I assume he has just deleted them all. I was just making sure he's allowed to utilize them.
Probably roll through those and we're like, I can't believe you took these on my camera.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to burn this SD card. P4 underneath with the C4 ready to pop and go.
Oh.
That's fine. That's just trading utility. Let's just. I traded out a Mozzie Pest.
Hey, fair enough. It's a very straightforward look on that, and I can't argue at all because, I mean, hey, making sense. They got the other drone in there for handy as well, so more than likely just to trade a utility there to make sure that they're able to drone out that top floor. Looks like here for FaZe, they want to be able to at least get the ball rolling on this top deck, and that's exactly what you want to see on an offense like this. Are obviously going to be occupying that mid-level. Open area, pretty interesting prospect when it comes to the defensive setup. You can do a lot of different interesting things. Sometimes we see people occupy the top area. Sometimes we see them just handle things from the cross section. That is more what we're getting here from the Wolves, is they'll be trying to occupy things like towers, things like archives, to try and make this setup a lot more difficult for FaZe on this execution.
Now Mowgli has had some motions and some swings before. Handy does get the first. Deadshot's gone, but so is about 2 minutes, so a lot of time has been taken out of the approach. It is Handy on the Ash. It's going to see if they can try and get control of Deepers in the back end. Remember the C4 swing last time did not work, but then they still won out the round. So the last time we were here anyway, they lost that opening body, and FaZe just didn't have the time to capitalize. Talking of time to die. Cyber blown up out of the building, taken out from the C4, was long since placed and played, but that's the intel game. You're looking at Valk, Mozzie that's stealing bits. As I said, it has been the big drive of Wolves, is to focus on that. We start to hear Candela's pop. We start to see P4 about to find the next fight, and he gets the side of KDS. They weren't entirely aware, but you're looking at a combination of like Ying, you got Dockerby, and they're still not able to handle these players. Swinging either side with an SMG. The trade's about to come on his right-hand side, but he's being shot from his left as well. There's the lockdown. 20 seconds left.
Very risky now for Vidi King and the rest of the gang. Need some bigger fights here in a place for this case, but Wolves done such a good job of being resilient in this setup, not giving them too many looks early on, and now this should be a Wolves round, but as soon as I say that, Handy for a triple kill. They need to kill Bibu here, but he will nip it in the bud, and that'll be the last offensive round going the way of Wolves, a 5-1 half, just like on Cafe.
Sam,
What's up?
are we about to see another 5-1-5-1?
Honestly, Probably. If I'm being real with you, we're probably going to overtime.
I'm not strong enough.
Where's Ace and Des when you need them?
This would be, I mean, I guess it's the time to run the numbers, because if you look at the raw numbers of defense-sided versus attack-sided, it's probably in line with other tournaments, right? It's probably a little bit more defensive, I would say. However, surely the amount of like 5-1 halves to 5-5s is the highest it's ever been at this tournament. This feels like a Jesse J. Chick question. This feels like something for that boy to type away on his laptop and break all the sheets. I don't care how many times, what was it, his bird-related thing, who loses to bird-based teams. I don't care about that, Jesse J. Chick. What I do care about are the questions I pose you, which is, surely this is the most prevalent those 5-1 reverse sweeps have been because of this meta.
Well, Bank before this was sitting at a 59% overall defensive win rate with 6 plays, which for the history of Siege, that does not sound right at all, does it? Oh man, Bank usually favors the offense just because of the way that the top 2 floors are set up. There's so many damn windows, there's so many crosses that you can garner that are unbelievably pivotal. But as of right now, things a lot more difficult for FaZe on that offensive side. We'll see if it gives the same difficulty over to Wolves.
Early pops of canisters. This was something that I highlighted when we were looking at FaZe attack, is if you know what you're going to be up against, which we generally always know, it's very often a Goyo, it's pretty much always a smoke, you want to try and get in and get rid of that utility early, whether you do it via Twitch drones, whether you do it by Flores. You have to have something, for my money, that turns oh, we can get rid of it now, to, oh no, there's a, what, 15 second, 20 seconds burning of each individual piece of kit when you're going for the plant. You've got 30 seconds left. You will get to it as a problem eventually. Try and get it as early as possible when it doesn't really matter as much if you are there.
Well, minute and 40 now for the Wolves. They're doing their due diligence. They're working their way around this map with these drones, looking to see what they could potentially find. All damage still to be had for both respective squads. We're 5-5 right now. It's mostly just been the exchange of utility. Bibu, so rolling around with these Twitch drones. He's gotten so much done. We saw him trying to influence the mirror downstairs while they were looking to put up that mirror window, but instead got that Goyo canister. A good little Valk cam there inside of open area that'll be able to give the pacing of Wolves over to FaZe. So we'll have solid information on what that setup is going to look like. So the IQ here as well of Deadshot. He'll be able to pay attention to where the majority of players are with these cams and things along those lines.
And just, again, so happy to see this sort of IQ continually brought against FaZe. It's like there's some teams where you just know you've got to control that game. And there's P4 controlled by KDS. The first swing is a lockdown inside Garage. They lose the back push, and there's 2 caught off. Handy, just open palm, caught the players. Bibu versus the world here. He is inside of Fenrir, has no idea where anyone is, what way's up, what way's down, where's everybody around, waits for the smokes to pass, and can't even get the connection, Vidaking. But that was so... That's your B take. I talked about it very briefly. The gold rush.
And well, no gold to be discovered there.
Nope.
River is empty. Got to go to a different creek bed. Wolves not able to get that penultimate point just yet, but for FaZe, a good start to their defensive half and something that they're going to look to try and mimic throughout the rest of these rounds. A flawless one to start as they immediately go to executive and CEO. And I mean, FaZe, just a beautiful setup there. You know, a lot going on, especially with that downstairs setup, allowing them to keep Wolves back and forcing them into pretty bad timing, especially with that pickup there from KDS. Wolves not really able to implement a few of these separate angles that they were looking to try and utilize for that big pressure play up against the FaZe setup. Instead, it's FaZe simply dominating Wolves on every single opportunity. Now Wolves have to try and readdress things on a completely different site.
5-1 becomes 5-2. And as I said it many times at the very beginning when they were on the other side of this phase, a 5-1 is dangerous. A 5-3, hey, it's certainly very close. Wait, we're going to 6-5 at least. We're gonna be a 6-5. I don't know why we're doubting this. I don't know what's going on.
I have this feeling that for some reason we're not going to Chalet. I don't know what it is. There's just something deep inside of my soul.
Something in your core.
Yeah.
Oh, the fun we have. I mean, it's as likely. I think that's the thing, is something that we and the players have had to get used to the idea of. This 5-1 is sometimes defining in this meta. If the team still has to attack, it's just part of the course. It's how things are going to go forward. Every map statistic, as I said, is about 10%, 15% different in some cases to what it was before the tournament. A minute is gone. They're still trying to weigh up. There's some dangerous bulletproofs.
Did FaZe immediately implement that bulletproof that they saw from Wolves?
I love that they might have done that. I think it's definitely close towards the same position.
Yeah, it might have been theirs. They might have already known about it or something like that. But that would be absolutely hilarious.
I think theirs might be a little bit wider, so they get the eyes into the lobby entrance.
Yeah, like one planter over.
Yeah. I think just so they can see when people enter the building itself. Maybe it also gives them an idea of whether they can run down, go for the roam to attack this. If you know that no one's in lobby, then you might feel more confident to go for the ping from lobby. Handy, he just gets himself tucked behind some safety.
Since the change here, rather since the rehost, Handy 5-0 right now. Insane stat line for him. Look to continue that reign of terror over the Wolves. So they're setting themselves up for this top floor offense. We have two over on the north and a swing in here from Mowgli. He's going to be able to get rid of this castle barricade here, but the jig should be up. They should know exactly what's going down. P4 lose his life to Handy. Nobody knowing that Mowgli's around the angle, but he gets gunned down by Handy as well. And is this going to be a back-to-back flawless? You surely hope not. Handy low on HP, an opportunity here for him. Him and Shinka both going back and forth on their respective slivers. Don't want to overswing this. Shinko will at least guarantee that it won't be a flawless round, but strategically, it's looking so. FaZe, they'll be able to finally pick up one, but Shinka gets one on the back end. Although he is on low HP, this is misplayed properly. FaZe can still lose this.
He's in a 1 versus 1 on the site currently as well. So both him and Handy are only a breath away from danger, and Handy pulls back. He knows he hit him with at least an impact, but he doesn't entirely know where he is beyond 50, and he doesn't want to give them the 1 versus 1s. We talked about it before. He's tucked himself further and further, as I said, all the way into Janitors, waiting for his teammate to appear, which he has done now. The double stack. They know the pressure is onto the plant. Goes for the hop here, Shinka, but now he's in the middle of 2 players, and Handy is able to get the lockdown. That Mowgli moment at the very beginning when he got in behind the castle and had that first fight, they did not know he was there. If he'd have killed Handy in that situation and got himself the advantage, even if he was then instantly traded, you think about how impactful Handy was there throughout the rest of the round. Siege, one kill difference, one flip of the coin. Doctor Strange, how many different windows, how many different storylines are there?
Oh, man. The multiverse of madness.
Too many.
Right in front of us, right here. Yep, right there. Mowgli.
There.
Just getting a little antsy about that gunfight. Needed that kill so badly that just tried to shoot their hands instead of trying to step up. But we also saw that cross angle there coming in from Checkers as well that actually ended up being the death nail for them in that scenario. So now the Wolves already letting 2 rounds slip away, and neither one of those, even though they did get quite a few kills in that last one, you know, especially given the circumstances, I wouldn't even say that was close. I mean, there was so many things that FaZe still had the opportunity to do, including what they did. Just waste time. Don't overswing things. Force them into a clutch scenario. I mean, a couple of the FaZe members knew that they had a gunfight with that Zofia, and they knew that they tagged him up. There's more than likely less than 25 HP on that guy. You don't really need to get over the top about things. And that's exactly what FaZe do. They rest on the strategy, they rest on their laurels, and it works out very well.
It truly has turned into the current idea of if somebody can do one little magic trick on their attack, they have to try and break the momentum of defenders. Defenders are so, like, built in right now. The only thing that seems to be the difference maker is a surprise strike, is having a single sort of entity go around, because when you're looking at keeper barricades, when you're looking at the control of drones as well, from the Solace, from the Intel game, when you're looking at the control of doorways and swings and positions from the Fenrir, from whatever, you have so much control over every single aspect of this approach. You have spaces, you have windows, you have hop-ins, you have your own structure you can build and swings and pixel angles, and you also have their electrics. what is there that you can do as an attacker to find a hole in this? Sometimes it's just hit him hard and get a little bit lucky and get a little bit cheeky on the read. There's no hitting him hard. The Ossa goes for the deploy. The second round, Handy has the pick back up, and Bibu can only watch as his teammates get butchered. Finally finding them in the afterlife. Shinka alone might just sit on the roof for 2 minutes to have the team talk.
Yeah, we'll continue the escapades here as Vita the King. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
Gets a triple kill inside of this round. I mean, Wolves. I don't even think. Do we still have a timeout for these guys?
We do still have a timeout.
We do?
for these guys,
Okay.
yeah.
Right,
And
I
it'll
figured.
probably come after this round. This is why I'm saying I think they're just going to maybe sit and talk. And you know,
You should.
You should. Especially after a round like that where you're trying to move in with the Ossa.
Let's be honest. After 3 rounds like that.
Okay. But, yeah, you know, you're going for this Ossa take. That's one. Elizabeth Castle scream. Ah!
Drop the bomb.
It's just so much louder than, like, anyone else's.
Him and
Really-
Pulse, especially when they
Yeah,
get zapped, like, ah!
That's just the knowledge that they then have to go through American healthcare to get fixed. That's what that scream is. It's like, ah!
Oh no, my deductible!
deductibles! Yeah, I mean, you've got the Ossa. You're trying to replace the fact that Monty has gone off the board and run a shield as the lead in there, which you can deploy. They can play Ossa very well, but to lose the player that is the gun behind the shield is the mistake there.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine it if it's a Monty, imagine if it's an Ossa, whoever.
Just look at this.
The one exchange, they know exactly where the player is, and then this kill is just...
I mean, honestly, just zero respect for VD King in that situation. Not a proper info game going on that top floor. I mean, shouldn't be too hard to discover the guy in E3. He's standing out in the open. Nobody knows he's there. Nobody knows he's there. Mowgli's so confident about him not being there, he's sprinting through stock.
Yeah.
Not even trying to take a fight.
10 seconds left.
Wolves, I just feel like their game is a little misplaced right now on
5
this
seconds
offensive
left.
side of the coin. It's really, really punishing them. So we'll see if they're able to fix this up here in round 10. But, I mean, Emmy, we are 1 round away from being tied up 5-5 again, just like we were
I'm going to eat
over
this
on
table.
Cafe.
I mean, is par for the course. It is
Oh,
par for the
come
course
on,
of everything that
Cyber.
we've seen.
Cyber, come on.
Cyber-
What, zero respect for Wolves.
Cyber's going to do it to him.
In ATM of all
In
places.
ATM. Waiting for them.
There it is. I was going to say,
Okay.
for Wolves, if you don't drone this, I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I've lost my support for the French
at that,
Rainbow
look
Six
at that.
teams, but
Cyber
Thank
still
you.
might win this fight.
that's it. That's it. Oh, no way. There we
okay.
go. All right, I was going to say, that's just like, you're practically gifting a kill to the offense as long as they drone things correctly.
Yeah, I think it was clever to open the lobby door first and sort of say, hello. And then that forces the player to sort of go, okay, maybe I have a second to opt out. Because either way, you know you're about to have a fight. And I think they sort of realized we're being droned, we're being caught here. 4-5. They've got the first blow here. And
You hopping, Mowgli?
a great take. Go
We
on.
hopping?
Go on.
Go for it, brother.
We've seen a white stairs murdering earlier on today. Done against. But not quite able to get a catch here. Remember, obviously, where the site is. What they're pressing right now is Pime. And that is what FaZe are wasting as much as possible because you've still got smoke canisters. You've still got the Goyos. You've still got a mirror window in pocket just in case. You never know.
VD King, getting rid of a few of these drones. There's one directly around this filing cabinet as well. It's going to find him here again. I don't know if he knows that it's there. He should now, and he'll be able to get rid of it. Drop back down here in a minute 15. They're going to find their kill as Handy will get one on to P4. He's inside of Kitchen. Must have worked his way all the way up blue. Can't get through that rotation. Thought the rotation was made able to traverse through, but I guess a few pieces on the bottom of that just making it a little bit more difficult than what he thought at first glance. For FaZe, I'd say they've at least gotten the major part of the job done. They've been able to delay time and make it where Wolves have to go for this execute at sub 30 seconds.
And this is the risk. This is the problem as well. As I said, Souls, 3 smoke canisters. He can cover this the whole time. The rest of it, you don't know if there's any Goyos that are still standing.
They're going to have to fight him.
They're going to have to just swing in because the Havana pallets, they're going to take a while to maybe get the bit of the width. They're pinging them out at this point, but it's just the lockdown. They
Oh,
short. Yeah, there's the grenade, the rotate around the top. They know that everything is going to be on fire for the rest of this. They cannot go for the default take. This is the highlight, the importance of this utility game and the burn that I said. It doesn't matter how much work you do elsewhere. When you're left with only 10 seconds on the push, well, it's got to be a rock and roll and a little bit heavy and fast. Vidiking, he's pulled back. He's aware of it. The smoke canisters drop. There's 2. One on the default plant spot, one on the cover of the drop. There's the swing round. They have it locked down from Garrett. It's 3 versus 2. 2 of them executed. They dropped into the fire. A fight goes into a 2 versus 1. We are out of time. We're all tied up 5 apiece.
Like a dragon sitting on their gold. Whole swath of utility still sitting in the site. And a timeout procced from the Wolves as FaZe have done the hard part. They've tied up the game. But honestly, I call it hard. Those 4 rounds looked like easy breezy, beautiful play from FaZe. Every step of the way, Wolves not able to even hold a candle to the sunlight that we're seeing out of FaZe. I can see it on your face right now. I can see it. What's you got going on in that beautiful brain of yours?
I'm just, you know, I'm a play-by-play caster. I know a lot about Siege and map callouts and rotations because that's my job.
Yes, indeed.
I know enough to carry on by on the understanding of how things go, and I am frustrated at how defense is at the minute by how much can be controlled.
Yeah.
Because it's the limitations of what the attackers can do. And then you start to think, well, how do you sort of fix this? Because what is in ahead of you? There'll obviously be changes, there'll be nerfs, there'll be whatever, but what could you introduce? Because it's just a matter of, as I sort of alluded to earlier, pretty much every single aspect of what attackers can do on an approach can be controlled by a single operator handily. It's not like a trade out. If you look at, for example, the older times, you would have operators that can sort of do half of a job and need someone to help. Sometimes they accidentally make someone able to do things. You think of Fragmite being able to roll his way in and then blow the wall itself. And then they're like, oh no, he needs to be able to do half a job. So many defenders can just do a full job right now.
Yeah.
You can have, if you're sort of filling a fantasy league, it's like having like, you know, 5 Wayne Gretzkys. It's when even half a Wayne Gretzky is still too powerful. It's
5 seconds left before insertion.
traumatic.
It is. It is. It most
And I
definitely
can't
is.
imagine what it's like for analysts or coaches or even players in the game to have to go, what do we do here, gang?
Well, it goes back to what we talked about with the other utility meta. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't as mathematically sound as it used to be, because it used to be you're burning discs and you're burning Jaegers and all of these kind of stuff. This time around, what it is understanding the strat that they're running and having to handle things in good timing. And the problem is that with offense and Siege, things are so difficult to coordinate because you have to do it all on the fly. There's always going to be a different look for the defense. The defense gets to set up their home and defend things, right? It makes it where, things are very risky. Cyber, he's not going to step up this. He run out here. You crazy bastard. Nitro sell out. We'll get rid of that drone. I thought he was going to go for the full sprint right there. Full Monty.
I mean, I kind of wanted it. I think it was very clever. Waited for the drone to roll and go for it.
Please tell me you saw those drone mechanics right there.
That was just filth.
That was disgusting.
That was parkour. Do it again, man.
Come on. Let's see it, Deadshot. Oh. Look it back. Oh.
That is so clean.
I'm robbing that one.
Yeah. All right. Already in the bank.
Whoop.
Already in the bank.
Money in the bank?
I mean, I did so many wrestling references yesterday, and I like how someone retweeted, and I was like, I like how people are like open about being wrestlers. I was like, that is not the hardest thing I've had to come out about. I was like, the line of...
your parents are like, we're fine with this, but you watch SmackDown?
You watch SmackDown? Oh my god.
We're a Monday Night Raw family.
Get out of
Get out of this house.
But I appreciate that. That's the fear. We're about to have a quick zip. Get out of the way. Your teammate wants to make the motion behind this, the blinds, the smokes, the cover, and the clarity. There is nothing to do at all, but Gridlock is so noisy. So as that pops off, the coverage of the quick player inside, they might get caught by the Fenrir, but they're going for the plot.
KDS.
They don't care.
KDS.
He's not entirely aware. He's the one man that can stop this, and instead, he goes for the swing on the first fight, but it's a post plant. They got to go for the retake, and his handy does get P4. They're in a good position. Mowgli.
Please go for it.
Exactly, that's the worry. BB was the only cover for them to go for the watch out one, but they've got to be concerned about the jump out, which is what Shinka's watching at this point, the far side. If they hit top square, then they're in danger. 2 players have gone to fight BB here, and they get the fight. They now have the cover, so the players on rappel. They got to go for one out.
There it is!
5 players on the defense. Had the kit go down, 5 players on the defense are standing when the kit gets removed.
What an insane set of circumstances there from FaZe. No matter what you say, in those last handful of moments when Wolves have those amount of bodies, you're like, well, they got to kill one, right?
Yeah.
They have to get somebody. I mean, FaZe have to do so many aggressive things in order to shut down that setup from FaZe. I mean, they have to take away ATM away from Bibu, who's playing it extremely well. He's playing outside the front doors, trying to make sure he doesn't just get swung on and immediately eliminated. And, I mean, also, just at the end of the day, they kind of got a free plant there. I mean, KDS goes all the way out to square to try and deal with that player with the glasses active as well. Could have just nipped it in the bud, stopped the plant, but instead, I mean, FaZe kind of overcomplicating things for a split second, but at the end of the day, it's still a flawless round simply because of the way that they play off of each other. I especially like that patience on the hop out from the windows, Emmy. They respected the fact that there's more than likely not only vision happening over there, but they knew that they had those players working their way over to ATM to try and handle things with Bibu, and it would draw that pressure back over to those ATM windows, and as soon as Ying turns her head, they hop out and kill her. Very, very well done. FaZe now on an absolute tear. That's 5 rounds in a row, and if they get 6, they'll close this out 7-5.
We might, over 2 maps, be about to have 5 attack rounds over 27 rounds. 1. And
I'm pretty sure if this does go down this way, that'll only be 4 defensive rounds won across 2 maps.
4 attack rounds won.
4 attack rounds won. How?
As in, total, between this map and the last
Yeah.
map, there's a defensive have won like 21 rounds. Defenders.
I've got my.
You're backwards.
I'm so backwards.
You're
Yeah,
backwards,
no, you're
baby.
absolutely right. I was so confused.
No.
I was like, what are we talking about here? Anyways, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Currently, only 5 attack rounds have been went. FaZe are in a position to end this series now with a flawless defender half. There has been only 1 attack round won this map so far.
Yeah.
There was 3 in the last.
3. There's only been 1 so far,
and
so
they
it's
have
4.
And they have both almost gone to OT. The first one did go to OT.
Yikes. Yikes.
There's just some stats for you all like that. There's a few stat heads.
And sorry for the confusion there as well.
It's
even
fine.
my brain was like,
It's
what?
early. It's early. So, Wolves, they're not just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for the meta. At this point as well, if you're unaware of the context of this game, FaZe, they are playing for 2nd place in the group, which wouldn't really change much apart from a potential opponent that's still to be locked in, and there it is. First away from the Wolves, however, they were playing for first potential spot. They need to win this to keep themselves in the fight. They need to try and find themselves onto the 3rd map, because if they take first seed, which they could from SSG, who are otherwise sitting, hoping FaZe lock this out this round, well, then they get the bye. They get themselves into the quarterfinals of the upper bracket. P4 starts to take a bit of damage here, and there's the strike right into the heart of it. Bibu gets some of the control of the core of the map as the quad wall starts to fall.
Well, Souls will be able to take down P4, and FaZe trying to steal this away from Wolves after they had a successful defensive side. FaZe now sit at the precipice of being able to take this 2-0. It's their map pick. They look so good on their opponents as well, but now we get down into the 3 versus 3 because we have to make it fun, obviously, for these dying moments. Mowgli going to try and sprint across with pistol in hand. Very smart man using that maximum movement efficiency with that handgun as that plant will start to go down. Mowgli a little worried, though, about this rotation coming in from KDS. A lot of damage onto Bibu. KDS, a big moment here as he traverses down the staircase. It's up to Mowgli. And Emmy, I think that's it. It is indeed FaZe Clan with a perfect defensive half to take it 7-5 here on Bank.
I mean, kudos to FaZe Clan. They played brilliantly across the series, but both teams, from the statistics we said, as I said, 5 attack wins over 27 rounds.
13-1 for Handy.
Handy went 13-1.
Oh my days. And I think we also had a rehost as well on this, right?
13-1 on this map was the deciding factor on the first map. Handy, if I talk about Cyber having his 6th SI, his first. And he's putting in a performance like that.
Truly insane. It's the Brazil buff.
Brazil buff. I mean, it's the strange thing about the whole meta. It's the strange thing about the current side of driving things as well, because the conversations that are going to happen tomorrow on what is a sort of day off and the one between of how are the coaches that have got to this point going to answer this stuff? Because that is the toughest question in the world for anyone, is how do you push against these defender-sided metas? The first team to work it out, the first team to crack just from a 5-1 half to a 4-2 half will win the game.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. When you look at these statistics, everybody goes, oh, defense is so important right now. No, it's not.
No.
Offense is so unbelievably important. If you can't attack, you lose. It's over.
We saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw it in the Super Bowl about a week ago. Neither team could attack, and then the first team to work it out wins the game. It is that swing right now. I think the first team that can consistently get 2 attack rounds is going to win the whole SI. I think, I mean, that's where we're at. You have to give credit to these 2 teams, but that's just the situation that we are in. I mean, it's the frustration to focus on that when also they put in such a good performance. You have to give credit. 13-1. Unbelievable. Probably the best performance of a single player that we've had in a map, I think. I don't think it's the overall series best performance.
I honestly think that he had more as well, because I'm pretty sure we had a rehost on Bank. So I think he's probably like close to 20, which is just insane to even consider. Handy is definitely handy at this game, I can tell you that. I mean, he's just so disgusting. And FaZe, I'm really, really happy that they're looking more like themselves, because like we were talking about at the very beginning of this series, a lot of people were talking about how dang good FaZe looked coming into this game, or rather this event. But now, as it sits, you can see this is going to be it for Group B, folks. Space Station Gaming, our NA boys, have blasted off to quarterfinals.
America, you're in the top seed. Feel free to get on Twitter and start mouthing off to all the people that doubted the region itself.
Just not the Brazilians.
Not the Brazilians. Not the Brazilians. You're cool. Everything is cool there.
We love you.
Team Bliss and D plus Kia will be playing later to decide who is the team that gets eliminated from this group. Korea had a success story on the other stream earlier today. Wolves, they sit in 3rd place, so unfortunately no first for them. FaZe, they climb up to 2nd. They'll be playing the 3rd seed of a different group. I don't really know. This is still a little bit of a shake-up on this group as of yet. So all eyes on the Aussies versus the Koreans later on the day. But SSG, take a breath. They get a bye. Your boys, they find themselves up a bracket one step closer towards lifting their hammer.
Yeah, I bet they're really, really excited about that. And 18 damn kills.
The fact that
my God.
So he was what? I'm bad at maths, 5-5, and then he comes back and goes 13-1.
Yep.
That is
just
criminal.
goes to show you
That's
that
illegal.
Once you take the reign, or rather the weight off somebody's shoulders, they get that defensive half and they're able to kind of run amok at things, you can create some magic.
Horrifying.
And Handy looked so insane throughout all of that. And not only that, but look at Vita King there. I mean, 9-5 as well. A lot of the first kills going their way as well. What is that? 2? That's 5. 7, and then they got the 4. So, I mean, FaZe winning the majority of the opening engagements as well, even given the circumstances of their initial half not exactly being the greatest thing with that 5-1 split. But that one round, that's what mattered the most. All that separated OT, a singular round.
One attack round.
Yep.
Imagine being like, oh, this team, they got a 5-1 defensive half and being like, that's not enough.
32 kills in 2 maps. Jesus.
What a performance. I mean, it's the weird thing, because I started the day and started the series talking about how Wolves have had Deadshot do that. They've had Mowgli do that and be the defining thing of a series. This time, the step up is on the FaZe side. For breaking through everything, and I know I'm losing my mind, I am sorry. Breaking through everything.
It happens all the time, to be fair.
Yeah. For breaking through everything about this meta, seeing the performance FaZe put in on their attacks, that was still, for me, some of the best performance that they've been able to do. It felt like the FaZe clan that people expected to see at the start of this tournament. They've started to wind up. Whoever goes up against them next, because I think they're going to keep stepping that game up.
Hey, you like highlights?
I love some highlights.
Well, that's amazing, because we're going to throw you guys to a break. But before we do that, we got some intel highlights for you from the game.